What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Hard Count. Hope everybody is doing well on this post Thanksgiving Day week, huh? Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. Obviously, we weren't around the last couple of weeks. Listen, the holidays, some other things going on. Life gets in the way sometimes, but we're back for the foreseeable future as well. But with that being said, I always like to start off the show with knowing how my guy CJ is doing because, well, I can't really do anything else unless I know my guy is good.
Yes, sir. I'm doing well. Doing well. Sorry we missed the last few weeks. My laptop, I had to get a brand new laptop. So that obviously played a factor. And I don't like doing the stream and stuff on the phone or a tablet just for connection issues, audio purposes. So, for our hard count fans, sorry, we missed, the past couple weeks or so. But like I said, we're back now, ready to lock in for the rest of the season, going into the playoffs. And yeah, so that's why we've been out. My Thanksgiving was great. Spent some time with the fam, great eats, obviously some big football that we're going to dive into.
What's the plate look like on the Thanksgiving, CJ?
What you said?
What's the plate look like? What's plate one look like on Thanksgiving?
Oh, well, my girl's Jamaican. So, I had some jerk chicken, rice and peas, plantains, of course your traditional, mac and cheese and stuff like that, but just with a little twist in there, festival. So it was super swell eats. For sure.
Send something my way, brother. What are you doing? Thought we were friends here. Like, what's going on?
I got you. Go to care package. I got you.
I had to come down to the city one time.
I had to come down to the city for sure, bro. Definitely got you with an easy couple with a plate for sure. Got you.
Say no more. now that you said that, there's no getting out of it. I hope you know that.
Bro, I'll tell you, bro. I got you for sure. It's meats.
Say less. All righty. Listen, let's get into it. We've been away. Let's get into the good old football of it all.
Sure.
Listen, first things first. Either Aaron Rodgers is built different, medical technology is a hell of a thing, or him listening to the Dolphins, mate, it really does help. I don't know which one it exactly is, but hey, I guess we'll eventually find out. But yeah, the practice window for Aaron Rodgers has been opened. I believe, it's like 21 days, and they have to activate him, as that expires or something. I don't know the exact practice window thing. Like, I know that he's allowed to practice now, and I guess it doesn't take up a roster spot. And if they don't activate him, I don't know what happens if they don't, but whatever. As we welcome in Gridiron, as always said, when I was a kid, there was a show called Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Never heard of this one. It was once every 2 weeks for 15 minutes. It was so good that you went out of your way to find it. You guys are that for football. Listen, Gridiron. Appreciate you, brother. You're the GOAT. Always here supporting the kids. But yeah, listen, Aaron Rodgers, practice window's open. It's been 4 months since the Achilles tear, and it really does. It just adds almost another layer to feeling bad for Jet fans. Like, listen, Patriot fans shouldn't feel bad for him. CJ, we shouldn't feel bad for Jet fans. You almost have to. You almost have to. Things are going to finally go their way. This is their year. The defense is good. You got Garrett Wilson, offensive rookie of the year. Breece Hall's coming back from the ACL injury, who might have ended up being the offensive rookie of the year if he never gets hurt. Obviously, you got Sauce, defensive rookie of the year. And then, bam, you bring in Aaron Rodgers. You finally take care of that quarterback position. No more Zach Wilson messing everything up. And 4 plays later, Zach Wilson's your quarterback again. And I believe that they're 4-7 on the season right now. So, obviously, they are out of the playoffs. And it just makes you think, CJ, like, Josh Dobbs was there at the trade deadline for the Cards. Listen, I know people have their feeling on Carson Wentz, everything like that. I would have taken him over Zach Wilson. I'm sorry. I would have. Honestly, almost anybody. Like, the fact that they even went into the season with Zach Wilson as their backup quarterback is kind of crazy to me, because he really was one play away from being needed again. And, you do have a 40-something-year-old quarterback that is right there. So now his practice window's open. And by the time he comes back, you might officially be eliminated from the playoffs. I mean, right now they basically are. They have like a 0.4 chance, 0.4% chance to make the playoffs. So they're basically done anyway. Like, just imagine right now if they were like, instead of 4-7, what if they're 6-6 or something? I don't even know if that math technically. Yeah, that math works out. No, it doesn't.
No, they're 4-7. Yeah, so.
I'm saying they're 4-7. Like, what if they were 7-4?
Right. Okay.
Or they were 6-5 type of situation.
Some of those games is just in common.
I mean, listen, the fact that they didn't beat the Patriots, disgusting. They usually are in every game because of how good the defense is. I mean, I know they got smacked a couple times this year. I believe 2 weeks ago they did. But I mean, that's what happens when the defense is on the field literally for 50 plays, probably 60 plays a game because the offense is never there. But I would try to get Cooper Rush or Mike White if I was the Jets. Mike White was in their building.
Yeah,
Mike White was in their building. Now they got, what is it? Why can't Tim Boyle?
I mean, Mike White's on the Dolphins now. Yeah,
Tim Boyle. I strive to be as bad as somebody like him and still have a job. I mean, his college numbers aren't even good. How did he get into the NFL? Like, did they forget to do the screening process?
I was going to get into that as soon as we got into the game.
Did they mix up his draft profile with somebody else? Like, I'm a little confuzzled here, but hey, we'll get to that. I guess we'll cross that bridge.
We're definitely getting into that for sure.
But yeah, Aaron Rodgers is throwing the pigskin around. You think we're seeing? I don't think we're seeing this year though, CJ. I'm not gonna lie, because I mean, here's the thing: if they officially get eliminated from the playoffs, why would you bring him back? Just to see, just so he can prove to himself that he could have came back and proved to everybody, like, oh, look how cool I am. I came back, in record time. If I'm the Jets, there's absolutely no chance in hell I'm letting this man come back. He can get mad at me all he wants. Don't care. I need you healthy for next season there, my guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, first off, for him to even be back, for this to even be a story, just says a lot about his genetics. I mean, you got to talk about that. I mean, you look at when you hear Achilles injury, automatically you think about 9 to 12 months, leaning towards closer to 12 than 9. And then especially someone at his age, someone that's mobile, who's known for moving around in the pocket, doing a lot of improv, making plays with his feet. And then for him to go down 4 plays into the season and now, be able to practice about 4 months later, it speaks to one, like I said, genetics, the health, whoever's he's been working with in terms of training, physical therapy, the things that he's done in order to get back and get to this point. We've obviously seen clips and things like that, him standing around, throwing the football. He's been with the team, for a majority of the home games. I don't think he's been there on the road games, but he's, there on the sideline with the headset at the home games at MetLife, standing there. I mean, you would think someone that's 4 months out of an Achilles tear, try to get as much elevation as possible. And not be standing around for 3.5 hours for a football game you're not going to play in. But it just shows he's all in. He's all into this team. Obviously, just the way he went down, it's not the best way. It's the worst way, actually. And I think he just wants to show Jet fans that it doesn't matter how old he is. It doesn't matter what happened to him. He's 100% committed to this franchise, this team. They took a chance on him. A lot of people thought after last year, after kind of a disappointing year, they didn't make the playoffs. They were kind of up and down when he was in Green Bay. What type of Aaron Rodgers we were going to get, and I think, I think he's motivated to get back to that MVP type style. He looks at the team, you're looking at the defense, the way they're playing. You look at the games that they are in. If Zach Wilson is just like average, but since he's nothing close to that, they've lost the majority of those games. And I agree. You definitely don't want to bring him out there. I mean, it's just there's no way they're making the playoffs. I mean, they just don't have good quarterbacks in that room at all. And they don't have great play calling either. And as I said earlier, I'll get into that when we talk about the game against the Dolphins on Black Friday. But yeah, just it's great that he's back, but just keep the rehab going, keep the physical therapy going, and make sure you're ready for 24, 25 because that's the most important. And you look at the AFC, they could have definitely been a player if he was there.
Oh,
No
yeah.
question. I mean, you look at a lot of teams right now, they're like 4-5. I mean, they're like 5-5, 6-5. They're in the mix. We thought Buffalo would be better. They've kind of been up and down. Broncos, we didn't know what the Broncos were going to be when they brought in Sean Payton earlier in the season. It looked like a disaster. Now they got 5, now they're on a win streak, 5 games in a row. So it's just these little things that happen throughout the season to where, if they had someone like Rodgers, obviously their chances would have been higher, but that's just how it goes. It's football. And I think he just needs to get ready for next year.
I would absolutely agree with you on that. Let's move into week 12. Our reactions to week 12 of the NFL season, obviously. And started out with the Packers and the Lions, as CJ will always, pull that up for us. Packers came away with the 29-22 victory. Definitely was not expecting that one on my Thanksgiving. Definitely thought the Lions had that one. And I think they were up like 20-something at one point. Obviously the Lions did battle back. They were an onside kick away from, the potential of tying that game up again. But hey, Packers came out. The Lions have lost like 7 straight games on Thanksgiving, I believe. So even though they play every year, it's never good. Granted, this was probably the first year we had like high expectations of them while playing on Thanksgiving in those last 7 years. But hey, and recently the problem has been, and I was giving them praise earlier in the year, but you gotta, look at things objectively, obviously. Jared Goff has turned the ball over a lot these last 2 games. What do you have, like 3 fumbles in this game or something of that nature? Obviously, ball security is the number one thing, especially as a quarterback, because you're going to touch the ball, every single play. So, usually we think of interceptions with quarterbacks, but obviously he's had a little bit of a fumbling problem here. But listen, at the end of the day, I'm not too concerned about the Lions. Now, obviously, you got to get that stuff cleaned up. I think that is exactly what they will do. I think that'll be a focus. I'm sure they'll be doing a bunch of drills with Jared Goff. Edge rushers coming across and swiping the ball away and things of that nature. They'll do it with the stupid pads on like they always do in the videos. But, listen, they're 8-3 on the season. They're right there for, the number 1/2 seed in the NFC. Obviously, I know that they would want that. Why wouldn't you? You want to play all your playoff games at home? Obviously, that would be the 1 seed, but hey, 2 seed, you got a chance of doing that as well if the 1 seed gets knocked out. But I still got a lot of faith in this Lions team. They're just historically bad on Thanksgiving. Packers, congrats. Jordan Love, solid in this game. They got Watson involved in this game, which obviously, a lot of people thought that he would be involved a lot throughout the season. Hasn't really been the season that I'm sure he expected or a lot of us expected, but did some nice things in this game. I know he had a bomb to start the game, I believe, and then I believe he also caught the touchdown pass in this one. So a nice game out of the Packers, but Lions 8-3 on the season. I think they'll wrap up this division as well. Obviously, with the Vikings were looking like they were going to give them a little bit of a scare there. Maybe if they had won this past week with the Lions losing, and I think the week after that, they would have been playing for the division lead, I believe. But obviously, Lions lose, Vikings lose, and we'll get to that. CJ, I'm telling you right now, when we get to that Vikings-Bears game, I'm laying out. You got it from there. But Packers come away with a victory here. Obviously, what you expect better out of the Lions, you expect more from them. But a concern level, I wouldn't exactly say is there.
I'll say if from a 1 through 10, I'd say my concern level, I'd put it at a 6, only because, again, listen, they're the 4th best team in the NFC. I don't think that's a debate. I think obviously it's Philadelphia, San Fran, and Dallas would be the top 3, and then they're right there at 4.
So you're sold on Dallas?
I more so than Detroit, absolutely. If they were to play, I would take the Cowboys in that game. Just based on how opportunistic that defense is with Deron Bland. And, every time he touches the ball, it's a house call. Yeah. So, and Dak's been playing great, honestly. Oh, yeah. Outside of that San Fran game, he's been phenomenal. And we'll get into that next. But I'm just not sold. I'm just not sold on Goff. Listen, this is a guy that scored 3 points in the Super Bowl. I know he got to the Super Bowl, but a lot of that was Todd Gurley. I think a lot of people forget about Todd Gurley and how great he was before, the knee problems. He carried that team to that Super Bowl and that 2018-19 season with the Los Angeles Rams. Also helped with having a great offensive-minded coach in Sean McVay. And that played a factor. He's good. Goff is good, but he's not great. He doesn't do anything fantastic. He has a good arm, not a fantastic arm. His mobility doesn't have great mobility. And if he's turning the ball over like the way he turned the ball over on Thanksgiving, I just don't see how they're getting farther than a play, maybe just a wild card. I feel like Green Bay has a chip on the shoulder from Week 18 last year. That could have played a factor. That could have played a factor for sure. He's also benefiting from a conference that has poor quarterback play. Let's just call it how it is. You got a first-year starter in Jordan Love for Green Bay. The Bears are the Bears. The Vikings have Josh Dobbs after pretty much picking him up 2 weeks ago after Kirk Cousins, is out for the year. Geno Smith, great story, but he's in that same tier as Jared Goff, good but not great. Falcons, the whole entire NFC South is a joke. So, he's benefiting from. They're a good team. They're a really good team. They have some talented guys on both sides of the football. We know all the caveats of how great what they've done over these past 2 years, but in terms of them getting to that next step, they need that guy. Now it's going to be difficult to get that guy because they're not going to have a high draft pick. Exactly right. They're not going to have a high draft pick to get one of these, young guys out of college. So they're could be in that predicament. They're kind of in that like Vikings Kirk Cousins situation where it's like you're good, you have really good seasons, but come playoff time, when you match up against a team that has a better quarterback than you, and then the rosters are just equal and pretty much balanced, and it comes down to who has the better quarterback, the likelihood of them winning that game obviously decreases. So a loss like this, I think a lot of people expected them to change the narrative, right? Because as you said, Thanksgiving game, you see the Lions, I think it was like 6 straight going into this game, 6 straight losses, and now it's 7. This is just what they do. I think they should just stop having Lion games on Thanksgiving, man, because they're not built. I get it from a standpoint of, it's
tradition, CJ.
What happened?
It's tradition, CJ.
Yeah, it's tradition, and
how dare you?
I also understand they haven't been good forever, and that's like their one nationally televised game out of all the teams. Even so, I get that, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how good is Jameson Williams? It's tough to really say right now because
what I feel like he is, CJ. Well, it's like their version. It's like Jameson Williams is like their version of Drake London, where we think the talent is there, but it's like, how is he not involved?
Yeah, that's I could see that. I could see that as well. Also, he came into the season late because of the betting situation. He was out for the majority of last year because of the ACL. So it's just like he's these first 2 years have been tough for him. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably say. You said how good is he, right?
Yeah.
Talent wise, I'd put it definitely probably around 7. I don't want to go crazy because you haven't seen the level of production yet, but if he gets some consistent reps, he's obviously not going to get as much reps as Amon-Ra St. Brown because that's the number 1 receiver.
Top
5. Yeah, definitely top 5 this year, no doubt. But I think I could see that 1-2 punch, kind of like what we see in Philadelphia, kind of like what we see in San Fran with Debo and Ayuk, and then the Philadelphia with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. If they could develop, if he could just stay healthy, stay on the field, and really get a rhythm of golf, that could definitely increase. I think he's talented. He's definitely talented. And we saw what he did with Bryce Young, and now we see Bryce Young now in Carolina, a completely different guy. So he's very good. He's very good. But Yeah, this is what the Lions are. So I would give him a 2-year deal minimum. I had tweeted this out like during the game on Thanksgiving on our Twitter account at the hard count underscore. I was like, listen, 2-year deal max, and I would draft a quarterback second in that second to 4 round range. You have to. There's no way you could entirely give him the keys. It's rare that you see a guy that was drafted to a team. What was he like? The number 2 pick, number 1 pick?
I think he
Number
was first pick, and then Wentz was
first
2.
pick in the draft. Right. He was the first pick in the draft, was the starter on the team that led them to the Super Bowl, that went to the Super Bowl, and then they get rid of him.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, I'm good.
And when have we ever seen that? And then he goes to another team and becomes a Hall of Famer. We haven't seen that. Now we haven't seen something like that. Rare. So, like I said, he doesn't have any elite traits. And you could kind of, if he's just managing the game, being the floor general, great. That's why they're 8-3. But if he starts to do too much, running around with the football, with one hand on the football as opposed to having 2 hands on the football for ball security, balls out. Rashawn Gary had a hat trick in this game. Like, this is what you're going to get. You're going to have these disappointing type games. So if I'm Detroit, I like what I've seen from Goff over these last 2 years, but you just still have to be cautious because I still don't feel like he's that guy. And then for the Packers, man, they've been playing some great football. I mean, they got the win against the Chargers last week, and then they come into a short week on the road in a hostile environment. I mean, regardless of what their record is, the Lions fans always show up and always bring it. And, especially with the season they're having this year, it was definitely going to be a packed stadium on Thanksgiving. So Jordan Love has been playing great. He's been playing great these last 3-4 weeks or so. And I think he's starting to get his confidence. They're starting to develop a run game. I think the defense is playing a little bit better. If they're able to get Campbell and Jair Alexander back, watch out. Watch out.
Jones can stay on the field too.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron Jones can come back for sure. They're a young team. You really got to have patience. And I know he's been in the league for 3 years, but this is his first year being on the field. You can't expect Aaron Rodgers. That's just not realistic expectations for someone like Jordan Love. He's a completely different guy, completely different situation. You look at the guys that Aaron Rodgers had, he was throwing the football to: Greg Jennings, James Jones, Donald Driver, Jermichael Finley. He had Ryan Grant, and I'm blanking on the other running back that they had back then. Jeff Saturday at center for a little bit. It just wasn't. It's a
Jordy Nelson.
I forget exactly. Jordy Nelson. I mean, that team was stacked when he got the keys. This is not the same. Everybody's young on that offense. Dobbs, Watson, Dillon. They're all young. So, Packer fans, you got to have some patience.
Dillon's been disappointing to me this year so far, by the way.
Dillon?
Yeah, I expect, especially with Aaron Jones being out, I thought A.J. Jones was going to step up. Has not gone that way.
Yeah, I mean, he's just he's a number 2 in a 1-2.
He's a short yardage.
That's what he is. He might break out and get a big play here and there, but he's not a franchise type running back, and that's okay. That's okay. I think he complements Aaron Jones really well, power, speed. So, but yeah, if I'm a Packer fan, I'm excited what I'm seeing with Love, and let's see what they do for the rest of the season because they definitely have an opportunity to get the wild card, to get into the wild card and make the playoffs, and you're telling me first year as a starter, getting into the playoffs. I mean, if you're not excited as a Packer fan, I don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, the plays that he was making in this game, throwing dimes, throwing dots to everybody. Anybody was getting love. Christian Watson, again, it's just a matter of activity. Can he stay on the field? If he can stay on the field, he's a dynamic guy. He's a dynamic player. That could be a combination. That could be a duo we could be talking about for years to come, like we've seen right now with Stroud and Tank Dell. Over there in Green Bay. So, but they have to stay on. He has to stay on the field in order for us to really start having those type of conversations. So, great win for the Packers, and like I said, it's a very disappointing loss for Detroit. But you're gonna have these type of games like we saw against the Ravens when they got blasted when they went to M&T Bank. So, that's just what they are. Good, really good, but are they Super Bowl contenders? No. Are they playoff contenders? Yes, and the reason why is because you just don't know what you're going to get from their quarterback.
Fair enough. Next up, we have the Commanders and the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Close game for a little bit. If the fourth quarter is erased, actually a good game, but unfortunately it cannot be, especially for Commanders fans. 25-0 in that fourth quarter, by the way. But it was 20-10 going into halftime, looking, pretty solid. And then, like I said, that fourth quarter did happen. But, we mentioned, or you mentioned it before, especially, but Dak's been, listen, we like to talk about Dak in, negative ways because of the way that he's been, not, winning the big game. Obviously, I believe he led the league in interceptions last year when he didn't even play in all the games that were available. Obviously, he missed some time with that thumb injury. But, I mean, dude's playing out of his mind. 22 or 32 on the day, 331 yards. He had 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Another guy that's playing out of his mind is a good old CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, he had 4 catches, 53 yards, a touchdown in this game. So, not the craziest of all stats, but he has been very, very good recently. I mean, you look at the chart here, you kind of want to say, spreading the ball around. I mean, Cooks was involved, Lamb was involved, Tolbert, Ferguson, Turpin. I mean, there's just Tony Pollard had 6 catches. Like the ball was being spread around. Obviously, I think that's what you really want to do as an offense, because when you get zoned in on that one guy, I think that's when you start to have problems. What I think is happening with the Bills with Stephon Diggs, but hey, different story for a different day. But yeah, I mean, just a big win for the Cowboys, and that's why I kind of asked you if you were sold on the Cowboys, because to me, it's the same story every year. They're destroying teams that are not very good at football. I think they're 8-0 on, or maybe 8-0 or 8-1, something around there, with teams that are under 500, and then they're 0-2 against the teams that are above 500. They lost to the 49ers, they lost to the Eagles, but those teams that are bad, they are destroying them. Which, listen, the argument to that, and I completely understand it too, because I'm sure if I was a Cowboys fan, I would be annoyed with it too. You can only play the people that are put in front of you. And I completely understand that. But with that being said, you got to take the context into it as well. We remember the Vikings of last year. What were they, like 13-4 or something going into the playoffs? They're playing the Giants. It's like, oh, come on. Like, the Giants aren't anything special. Giants going in there beat them. And I think the whole season, nobody was really that sold on the Vikings for the fact that they hadn't really beaten anybody. That's why I think it's very important to look for context things and not just go based off the numbers. Like 8-0 against bad teams, 0-2 against good teams. I'm sorry, but in case we somehow change the playoff rules, you're not going to be playing those bad teams in the playoffs. You're going to be playing teams that, had good seasons and are looking good. Now, the other thing for the Cowboys, though, that is kind of good, which is also a little contradictory of what I just said. The NFC is just actually bad this year. I mean, it's just simply not very good. So they might get into the playoffs, wild card, and if they're going to be the 5 seed, they end up playing the 4 seed, which will be the NFC South winner, right? I mean, they're going to kill them because the NFC South winner is probably not even going to have a winning record. So they'll probably win a playoff game. They're probably going to win a playoff game, and then after that is when you'll have to play an Eagle, a 49er, maybe a Seahawk, something of that nature.
Yep.
So that's, and it sounds weird, but I'm kind of waiting for the playoffs with them because I think throughout the regular season they'll continue to do this. I mean, they're going to beat up on the bad teams. They play and here I'm going to sound like a hater. I know I am. But even next week, they play the Eagles. The Eagles are coming off a Chiefs, Bills, 49ers run. 3 games in a row, that's who they've played. So if they go out and beat the Eagles, even then, to me, it's a little bit like skewed because it's not exactly like the Eagles just came off playing nobodies. They just played the defending Super Bowl champions, a team that is still good. I mean, you look at the game; it was 37-34. Great game. We'll get into that later, obviously. And then a team that we all think is going to, be right there with them at the end in Super Bowl contention, the 49ers. So you just play 3 incredibly hard games in a row, and then they get the Cowboys. The Cowboys get the Eagles at home. So, we're going to find out some things about the Cowboys, obviously. But actually, they play Thursday against the Seahawks. So maybe that's a little bit of a test for them. They're over 500 by a game. So we'll see. But Cowboys did their thing, 45-10. Nothing too crazy other than the fact that, listen, you got to give Dak some respect. The last 4 or 5 games, he's been playing out of his mind, not turning the ball over, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards. And hey, people probably don't like to say it, but sneaking up there into that MVP conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're playing great right now. They really went on that tear in that fourth quarter against the Commanders. And this is what I expected. And sometimes they're Cowboys, and during these games on Thanksgiving, where you expect them to win, and they come out and have a disappointing loss. Yeah. And it was a close game to where it was very likely where you could have definitely had a situation where that could have occurred. But they came in and they played well. Like you said, Dak was hitting everybody. Cooks has really come along these last few weeks after, there were some discussions about his lack of productivity with the team since signing there. He's been able to lock in and really develop some nice chemistry with someone like Dak Prescott, going over the middle, doing the things necessary to win. He's kind of that deep threat, while CD kind of does everything else, and he just opens up the rest of the field for everyone else. So I think their run game could definitely still improve. I think they expected Tony Pollard to kind of be that next franchise type guy that you can give the football to every play. And that's not necessarily the case. And he is coming off an injury. So how much did he really train? How much was he really, going 100% during the offseason? So they definitely could have struggled there. But like I said, I like what I see from this team. I know they got smoked against the 49ers. But outside of that, they lost to Philadelphia, but that was a really good game. Went down to the wire, really to the last second. To the 1 yard line. That's how close the game was. And they could have put themselves in predicaments to score, outside of those couple penalties that pushed them back. So I think from here, it's just about winning the games you need, winning those big games, those important games. Seattle, that's a big game. They are a team with a record above 500. And then the next game in Philadelphia at Dallas. What they've been able to do in Dallas, I believe they're 13-0 in their home games. So that's home field advantage for sure. I mean, they got everything going right now. Their defense is so opportunistic. With obviously since Dan Quinn has been there, those guys, they get to the quarterback, and then their secondary, they get interceptions. And not only do they get interceptions, they take it to the house as well. So I just think that they're looking like they're one of the most complete teams in the league. I mean, they really are. I mean, and with the way Dak is playing, it puts them in a predicament where, yes, they haven't been able to defeat the 2 teams above them, but we've seen plenty of times in the playoffs where in the regular season, a team will lose to a certain team in the regular season, and then come playoff time, they ended up getting that win. So it's just that close of a scenario. And the last 2 games that Dallas went up against San Fran outside of the regular season game this year, they were fairly close. It was 19-12 in the playoff game. And then we know what happened the year prior when the snap and the situation, they ran out of time with the referee and all that. So it's just like they're right there, but they have to get over that hump. And obviously looking at number 4, I mean, that's the guy. They have everything for him. They got they have 2 head coaches. They have a head coach, a defensive coordinator. I think Dan, he could easily probably get another job, but I think he's happy getting the no state tax, probably one of the highest paid coordinators in the NFL. And what he's doing with that defense has been sensational. Just imagine if they had Diggs there with Bland, with Gilmore. I mean, that's a stacked defense. But nonetheless, it's they've been having a great season, and these next 2 games will really tell us a lot about who Dallas really is.
Absolutely, our final game of Thanksgiving. While you were digesting all the turkey and everything, probably on your second or third slice of pie. For what are we pumpkin apple? What are we doing, CJ?
I mean, I don't discriminate, man. Pumpkin apple.
How do you feel about a good pecan?
Yeah, that sounds good to me too. I didn't have that this year, but I'm definitely not against it for sure.
Now, are we going just apple, or are you going full out ice cream, a little whipped cream on top?
Nah, I just keep it. I don't go the extra. Yeah, I just keep it with just apple.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing, no whipped cream or nothing like that.
Probably why I'm extremely overweight. Anyway,
Yeah.
49ers at the Seahawks. 31-13 victory for the 49ers. They're back. I mean, obviously they went on that, 3-game losing streak. The sky was kind of falling. I was getting a little worried about them, obviously, as well. But you plug back in Debo, you plug back in Mr. Trent Williams, and all is right in the world again. Obviously, McCaffrey was probably dealing with the oblique a little bit more than I assume that everybody led on to believe. And he's probably, decently healed from it. I wouldn't say he's 100%. Nobody's 100% at this point in the season. But Ayuk has absolutely turned into a number one wide receiver. You give, Debo the opportunity to do the things that he does, either in the backfield or just being able to get yards after the catch because he's a strong man. Strong guy. Kittle can, obviously block with the best of them. It's almost like having another lineman out there, except, when he's out there, he can also, casually get 100 yards and a few touchdowns if you really had to. Listen, it's still the most complete roster in the NFL, and obviously it only got better when they traded for Chase Young, and ever since they did that, him and Bosa have been going crazy. So, the pressure is up. The offensive line is stout. The receiving room is unbelievable. They have the best running back in the league. Like, all things are kind of right in the world right now for the 49ers. Obviously, you just got to hope it stays that way because – obviously we know what happened in the NFC Championship game last year with all the injuries. You got to hope that doesn't happen because, well, I just want to see actually good football teams be able to play together. But a big win for them against the Seahawks. I think we kind of knew the 49ers were going to win this division. Seahawks were, had the opportunity to make it close here. Obviously, they would have had the same record if they would have won this game. They don't play again this week, obviously, but they play again the following week. So they will meet again soon. I expect the exact same result, if I'm being honest with you. But, the 49ers are kind of doing their thing again. And that is a very scary sight for the rest of the NFL. I'm sure that they were hoping that 3-game losing streak was going to continue for a very, very long time. But unfortunately, when you have that much talent, that is exactly what will not happen. Brock Purdy, 21-30, just unbelievable completion percentage, which is what he obviously has to do. He's there to be the conductor. He is just, okay, you go here, blah, and let me just put it there and do this and do that. Like, he is there to. I listen. You hate to say it, but he is definitely not the front of the train. He's hanging under the back.
Yeah. Listen, I wouldn't say he's like old.
He's a game manager, but I think we also made that like a derogatory thing for quarterbacks. Like, oh, you're a game manager, but half the time that's what you want. Yes, you want somebody who's going to be able to make the unbelievable play, like in Mahomes, like a Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. Well, listen, the sky is also blue. I think everybody knows that. But if every team in the NFL had this roster, they wouldn't mind if their quarterback was Brock Purdy either, because you have so much talent that you kind of just have to stand there. Like, you're handing the ball off to McCaffrey, who's getting 19 carries and 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oh, I figured out I have to throw the ball now. Okay, Debo, do a little, crossing route. You go over the middle, which no wide receiver wants to do because they used to get absolutely murdered. Catch the ball, bounce off a couple people, and gain some yards. Oh, Ayuk, I need to hit you on a deep route every once in a while. Okay, here you go. Oh, I got a safety blanket of George Kittle. Oh, I appreciate that very much. I'm never going to have to worry about anybody coming out of the blind side because I got the absolute unit that is Trent Williams guarding me. Like, you're good. They just need Brock Purdy to do what he has to do, and I'm not taking anything away from him because, word to the Patriots, you just got to do your job. That is all you have to do. And he is absolutely doing it.
Yeah, he's been playing well since those guys have come back for sure. To me, he's a healthier younger, I would say, better version of Garoppolo.
Yeah.
What can he be down the road? That's really up to him. I mean, this is still his second season in the NFL. I don't think he's elite yet. I think, to me, there's a lot of factors that go into being elite. He's playing great football right now. But let's see what happens in the playoffs. I mean, if he could step up and lock in. I know he got hurt against the Eagles, so I'm not holding that against him at all.
Yeah.
But if he could have a great playoff run here, because this roster, the window in the NFL is so small to lock and have a roster like the Eagles have, like the 49ers have. So when you have these teams who are relatively healthy and relatively talented, you have to be able to win the games that you need to win. And, outside of that 3-game losing streak, and all of those games are fairly close. The one against Cincinnati kind of got out of hand late, but it was still a close game. We know what happened against the Vikings. That was a close one on Monday night. He just turned the ball over. If he doesn't turn the ball over, I mean, they win that game. So he just has to stay within himself. He doesn't have to be Joe Montana. He doesn't have to be Steve Young. He just needs to be Brock Purdy. And as long as he just puts the football where he needs to put the football and make sure those guys are able to catch the ball and create plays after the catch and do what they do and do what they're supposed to do, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They're a well-oiled machine. They don't need him to be a superhero. And I think that's the best thing about this team. But in the playoffs, they're going to be those 3rd and 9s, those 3rd and 8s, where a team is playing man-to-man coverage. Depending on where you're playing, the weather conditions may not be great. You got to go out there and make a play, get a run, make the right pass, get a first down to keep the chains moving. That will show us whether or not he's an elite quarterback. So listen, he's doing everything he's supposed to do right now, which I think is great. And I think as he continues to get more games under his belt, he'll continue to grow. He'll continue to improve. So this is a great win for the San Francisco 49ers. Seattle, again, this is what I'm saying. They need to draft a quarterback next year in the draft. Obviously, it won't be in the first round, but in the second round, second, third round, they need to draft a quarterback. That's not to say Geno Smith is terrible. He's done a great job in revitalizing his career. Yeah. But you don't want to fall in love with just having a mid-tier guy. There's nothing wrong with having him play great football right now and drafting a young quarterback, having that young quarterback see what it takes and see what's necessary and how you're supposed to win games. I think having
how to prepare.
Having someone like Geno as a mentor to a young quarterback, I think it'd be great because he's been through every single stage of a quarterback throughout his career. So I think Seattle, that needs to be the next step for them going forward. But in terms of the present day, this season, listen, they're going to win, but they have the talent. When you got DK Metcalf, Smith and Jigba, and Tyler Lockett on the outside, Kenneth Walker's been in and out because of health, but he's also a really good running back. They're going to win a bunch of that. Defense is opportunistic. They play great. They're going to be really good. This is a big game against Dallas for both teams. So, definitely all eyes will be on both of these teams on tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. But, this is what I expected. San Francisco is obviously the superior team in the division and also one of the superior teams in the conference and the league. So, really dominating win by the Niners.
Our first ever Black Friday game. Hey, I'll accept football on any day of the week. Just give me a little bit of a better matchup.
Listen, NFL's smart. They're smart, man. They had the Christmas. I think they had a Christmas Eve game. I think a couple years ago or last year as well.
Yeah, no, I think they have more this year. I know there's games on Christmas as well. So,
they're trying to get as many eyes on their product. You see the NBA with the in-season tournament Tuesdays and Fridays. Like,
explain that to me.
Well, just over like the tournament in total.
Does it count towards your overall record?
Yes, it does. Every game counts, and then it's like a tournament within the regular season. But yes, all the games that are played in the in-season tournament count as regular season games. Yes.
Okay.
Only game that doesn't count is the championship game in Vegas, the final game, which is right now they're about to start the I don't want to call it playoffs, but the tournament the tournament now coming up soon, since now that all the teams are locked in. But that's been exciting. But I was saying, like, from a marketing standpoint, it was smart to do that because on Tuesdays, no one's watching. I mean, obviously everybody's watching basketball, but there's no incentive really to watch it. But now you're like, oh, this tournament thing on Tuesdays, let me tune into that. Fridays, let me tune into that. And as we're seeing right now in the NFL, they're capitalizing on certain. I mean, Black Friday is not really a holiday, but people are still home.
It's people associate something with it.
Exactly.
So if you can associate football with it, you might as well. Eagles versus Cowboys was Xmas Eve last year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good call, good on. Appreciate you, bro.
But yeah, Dolphins. I mean, the only thing to really talk about this game is the fact that Tim Boyle is stuck into the NFL. Like, that's my big takeaway. Obviously, we went over at the beginning of the show. If you missed it, that Aaron Rodgers' practice window is opened. Next 21 days, wherever he'll be able to practice with the team and everything like that. Then they got to activate him, see if he's going to come back for the season. But I mean, 34-13. You expect the Dolphins to do this. Now, I mean, if anything, maybe a little bit of a disappointment from the Jets defense because we have such high expectations of them. But like I've said it's kind of hard to, be a defense to go all out and, play your best all the time when you're on the field for, 60 plays all the time, especially when you're on the field that often. And you're also playing a track team that is the Miami Dolphins, where everybody is running faster than a car in a school zone. So it's just, it's crazy what they can do. Obviously, Dolphins a little bit of the Cowboys of the AFC, though, by the way. They beat up on those bad teams. Those good teams they haven't beaten yet. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. Not trying to be a hater. Just state facts. But yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson, he finally got benched. Tim Boyle. I mean, what do you expect? He had like 5 touchdowns in college and like 18 interceptions or something crazy of that nature. I don't even know exactly what it is. I mean, he's stuck on that route in this game. He had 179 yards, threw a touchdown, 2 interceptions. I mean, if you're expecting more out of Tim Boyle, I mean, I don't really know what to tell you. I just feel bad. I feel bad for the good offensive players on this team and the defense because, like I said, and the fans. I mean, listen, I'm a Patriot fan. I was going to say, I'm a Patriot fan, and I even feel bad for it, even though it's fantastic, the fact that we've beaten them 16 times in a row. I believe it. I mean, how do you even let that happen? We're 2-8 this year. You guys let it happen. 2-9, I think. Unbelievable. But I mean, you feel bad for Garrett Wilson because he's offensive rookie of the year. Man is going to be an absolute dog if they can actually get somebody to throw him the football. 7 catches, only had like 44 yards in the game. Did catch that touchdown pass, but this is what you want to see out of the Dolphins. I think that's pretty safe to say that they're probably going to end up winning the division, especially with the way the Bills have been on that slide recently. Obviously, if they end up getting hot somehow, I think week 17 or 18 of the season, the Dolphins and the Bills play each other. So that, could potentially mean a lot. We don't actually know for the moment, but we will certainly find out. But yeah, I mean, the Dolphins did exactly what you expect out of them in this one. 243 yards, touchdown. Did have the 2 interceptions, so he did not play his best game of the year. But Mostert with Achane being out, he had 20 carries, 94 yards, had a couple of touchdowns there. Jeff Wilson, 11 carries, 56 yards. So, at the end of the day, they do like to run the ball. Like, we know, obviously, what the receivers do, but Mike McDaniels obviously comes from that tree with Shanahan. They are a power football team, whether you believe it or not. Jalen Waddle, 8 for 114, and you're like, oh, okay. That means Tyreek probably didn't do anything crazy because Jalen Waddle, I know, Tyreek Hill had 9 catches, 102 yards and a touchdown. So, definitely very difficult to stop them. But also the big loss in this game too. Jalen Phillips tore his it was his Achilles. ACL. I thought it was the Achilles.
I mean, either one.
I think it was the Achilles because that's the thing that pops in your calf, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was his Achilles. In fact,
MetLife.
I saw the. I saw the. Go ahead. My bad.
No, I'm saying MetLife Stadium is terrible.
Oh, I mean, how many people are going to get hurt and before they? I mean, the stadium's just terrible in general. I mean, terrible. I mean, I haven't been, but all you hear is that it's terrible to get into and out of. It looks ugly. I mean, you look at these new stadiums that are built, like the Raiders, beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, the Vikings, their stadium, the Rams, Chargers, unbelievable.
Yeah, Vikings.
MetLife is ugly as hell. And also, we're in New York, and they don't even have a dome. Well, actually, they're technically in Jersey, those fake-ass New York games. Anyway, but yeah, Dolphins 34-13 victory. If you expected anything else, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
This game was a little close for a little bit because Tua was making it close with those interceptions. One of them being a pick six, and that's what scares me about this team, man. There's moments where they, like what we saw early in the season when they put up 70 on Denver, and then like the following week get blasted by Buffalo by 28. They're kind of high. I mean, they're still 8-3. And Mike McDaniel's done a phenomenal job with this organization. As the season goes on, as we get colder, as it gets colder outside, yes, they need to definitely focus primarily on their running game. And Mike McDaniel was the run game coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. So, he would know more about that than anyone and how important that is. So Mostert, A-Chain got hurt with the MCL after coming back. I think his first game back, he got hurt again.
Yeah.
So I don't know what his timetable is, but he's obviously a big factor and a big weapon for them out the backfield with a three-headed monster that they have. Jeff Wilson could come in, former Niner. He knows the system pretty well. That's going to be key. That's going to be key for them down the road. I know they have the talented, speedy guys on the outside, but in cold weather, where your tracking gets in the way, it's tough to get out your breaks. Sometimes tough to catch the football. You might have to have an ugly game where you have to run the rock. And if Tua is just protecting the football, not turning the ball over, doing the things that he's supposed to be doing, they're going to have a great shot because that defense is really good. It's gotten better. You got Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey back into the fold, back into the mix, playing some high-level football in that secondary. They're going to be good. They're going to be good. Yes, I do agree. They're definitely like the AFC version of the Cowboys. They beat up on bad teams. And then when it's time for them to go up against a juggernaut top team that's on the level of them, we see what happens. And again, that goes back to the quarterback. I like Tua. I think he's done a great job these last 2 years. He's been healthy this year, which is kind of a knock on him. But I think what he's been able to do this year and how McDaniel's been able to use him, I think has been great. So let's see what he does in the playoffs. Let's see what he does in the playoffs, man. That's what I'm be watching because unlike the point I made earlier about the Lions and the lack of quarterback play in the conference, this is the complete opposite. This is the complete opposite because you're seeing Lamar, Patrick Mahomes. You're fortunate, Burrow's not in the mix anymore because he's out. You're seeing these C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence. You're seeing Russell Wilson is back. Like you're seeing these guys that are either on your level or better than you, and you have to be able to outplay them when it matters. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing from Tua. We saw him do it in the college football playoff, but that's the college football playoff. This is the NFL. So great win by the Dolphins. Obviously, the big story in this game was the pick six before halftime. I just thought that was just unbelievable.
I forgot about that. How did I forget that?
That just took the life out of the Jets. I think they kind of had some type of momentum after getting a stop, and then they throw a pick six to end the half, and it was just
like Hail Mary.
Hail Mary, yeah. It's the same. It's just everybody just pretty sure those fans, and I think it was raining that day too. It was just like same old Jets. And Tim Boyle, he's just not that guy. He's just supposed to be a guy. He's not supposed to be dressed. He's not supposed to have the uniform on. He's supposed to have the sweats and the fleece on with the Jets logo on it. He's not supposed to be on the field. And so fortunate Zach Wilson is terrible. So then you bring in someone like Tim Boyle, as you said, it hasn't been successful. He wasn't even successful in college. So getting an opportunity to start. And then also you got to look at who their offensive coordinator is. I mean, this guy was the head coach of a team. It was one of the worst offensive teams ever. Like not even just like last year, just ever in Nathaniel Hackett. So
they score like 13 points a game.
Right. He only has that job because he's friends with Aaron Rodgers, not even because he really put the work in to have that position where you have real coordinators on other teams working hard, trying to get to where he's at, but he's only there because who his friend is. I'm not a fan of that. I know and you say, oh, you're a Patriot fan. They do the same thing. I'm still not a fan of it. Like it doesn't matter what the team it is. I'm still the same on that. And I just think it's just unprofessional to me. But this is why the Jets are the Jets. This is why what they are. And until they get number 8 back, they're not going anywhere.
I agree with you there. All right. I say that next, might be able to go a little bit faster with these Thanksgiving and the Black Friday game because they were actually kind of relevant. But listen, same to the Falcons. I'd love to tell you all about it. Love it. This one, this was the worst Sunday slate I've ever seen, by the way.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
This Sunday slate was just absolutely putrid. There was one good game in each section. Like the Falcons and the Saints, listen, I'm going to sit here and be honest with you, never touched my screen one time. I know that the Falcons got a pick 6 in the game. Obviously, I thought that the Saints were going to be a lot better this year getting Carr because I thought he was, clearly, and I still, in a way, think he is, I guess, the best quarterback in that division, which is not saying anything compared to the other people that are in that division. But he's obviously not done exactly what I thought. I mean, listen, he had 304 yards, no touchdowns, but he had the interception. So that is not exactly what you want. Olave was going crazy in this game at halftime, and then I believe he got a concussion coming out into the second half of the game. So obviously that kind of kills all of that momentum. And then you go over to the Falcons. I mean, Desmond Ridder, he's still not very good at football. 13 of 21, 168 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. Hey, look, Bijan Robinson. Who would have thought you give the ball to some good players and the good things actually happen? 16 carries to 91 yards. Okay. Had 3 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown out of the backfield as well. Shocker. You give good players opportunities and they actually can do something with it. So yeah, Falcons get the win here. I mean, listen, this division is going to come down to who sucks the least. If we're all being honest with each other here, we obviously know the Panthers aren't going to win it. I guess it's probably going to end up being between the Saints and the Falcons. Then again, the Bucs are only 4-7. That means they're a game out of it. And with the way that they all play each other, who knows? Listen, you're going to win this division at 7-10, 7-10, 8-9. Somewhere in that range. I definitely don't think you're going to have to be, 10-7, 11 and whatever. So whoever is just least awful is going to end up winning this division, and they're going to get destroyed in the first round of the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was talking to one of my guys. I was like, yo, how many wins do you think it'll take for a team in the NFC? He's a Bucs fan too. He was like, how many wins? I asked him how many wins it's going to take for the divisional winner of the NFC South, and he was like 7. And as you just said, I was like, yeah, I think 7, 8. But it's tough for me to see them get 8. Honestly,
it's another whole 3 wins for them.
Yeah, it's just been so bad. The Saints, man, they're in a tough spot too because they need a quarterback. Derek Carr's not that guy. He's just not that guy. It is what it is. He's in that. He's in that. To me, he's in that golf Geno Smith, but he's playing worse than those guys. But he's in that same tier of quarterback to me. And they're gonna win, and they're gonna miss out on one of these young guys. They're another team, like I said with Seattle, and as I said with Detroit, they have to draft a quarterback. They have to. There's no way you could move forward with Derek Carr as your quarterback for the foreseeable future. He's not the one. He's not the one. Falcons, same thing. They don't. Same thing. Desmond Ridder's not the one. They have the talent, and I'm still very bullish on them in terms of their potential Saints got a boatload of injuries in that game too. Yeah, I mean, just it's a collection of everything. It's been a disaster for that. I don't think Dennis Allen is as good as advertised. They need a retooling at the top for sure. Those first three stages, they definitely need to retool. I think it starts with head coach and quarterback for sure. Atlanta, finally. I mean, I saw a clip like a few weeks ago, Arthur Smith trying to explain to the media why Bijan Robinson wasn't being used, and it was just like 5 minutes of nothing.
Whatever helps him sleep at night.
Yeah, it was just whatever just got him through that question. It was a tough watch for sure. Yeah, this is his last year as the Atlanta Falcons head coach. I think since there's really not much to talk about when it comes down to the Bears and the Vikings, I think it's going to be interesting because Chicago, I mean, they have all the tools and they have all the keys. I mean, they could do a bunch of things. Yeah, they could do a bunch of things here. They could trade Fields and get compensation for Caleb and Marvin Harrison Jr., or they could keep Fields and trade one of those picks and bring in Marvin Harrison Jr. Anything they want to do. It just depends on whether or not Ryan Poles believes in Fields, right? Or he wants to go get his guy because remember, he did not draft Justin Fields, came there after. So I could see a scenario where a guy like Fields could get traded to the Falcons. I think that'd be a great scenario for him. Fresh start. He's from Georgia. The team is really good, has a really good run game, some really solid young talent on the outside. The coach is going to matter. Who they bring in next. There has to be a guy that believes in someone like Fields if that situation was to present itself. But yeah, I could see him. But that's what I'm saying. They need a quarterback in Atlanta. They need him fast because with them being kind of like middle of the pack, I think they miss out on, or maybe they get a Michael Penix Jr. out of UW, or maybe a Jaden McDaniels out of LSU. Maybe they get one of those guys. Maybe they fall into the late in the first round or high second round, or maybe they trade up, something like that. But it's time for them too. So I saw a little bit of this game. The defenses are really good. Are good. I mean, for sure. I mean, those guys are opportunistic. I think Honey Badger had 2 picks in this game. They're stacked, but as like we just said, whichever one of these teams in that division makes the playoffs, it's not going to be an entertaining game to watch.
The Steelers finally put on, well, I lied, not an entertaining game, but a game where they gained more than 400 yards, which is the first time they did that in 59 games. And that all happened because Matt Canada got up on out of there. The Steelers fans finally got their wish. The city of Pittsburgh finally got its wish. They come away with a 16-10 victory here. Obviously, much more exciting and probably a different story, I would imagine, if Joe Burrow is playing, but he went down with a wrist injury while we were away, which, by the way, pissed me off. Not only because he got hurt and I like watching him play, but how do you not put the man on the injury report? That was my pick of the week on the other show that I do. Now I look dumb because I got the pick wrong, but it's not my fault that they didn't disclose Joe Burrow not being injured, which that investigation, I believe, is still going on. We'll find out how that ends up going for him. I'm going to guess with a nice fine, by the way. But Steelers with the 16-10 victory here. And I think the biggest story out of here, obviously, besides Matt Canada being fired, is the fact that Kenny Pickett actually had to play like a real quarterback because he actually kind of had the opportunity to now. You look at the spray chart, I guess you want to call it, of where his passes are being thrown. Looking outside of the numbers, down the field, like a real quarterback type of situation was going on there. And they finally, gained the 400 yards. Najee Harris had a good game, which has been rare for him in his career so far. So, hey, maybe things are looking up with the Steelers. We obviously know their defense is usually going to be good. TJ Watt is always around the ball. He's always doing good things. The second, who's the guy they have in the secondary? I can't think of his name right now, but he's been locking people down. I mean,
Joey Porter.
Yes, that's exactly who it is. He has been absolutely locking down number one wide receivers on the other side. So maybe they found a guy in him. But a nice win for the Steelers. They're somehow 7-4. One of the weirdest 7-4s I've ever seen in my life because I think they get outgained in every single game besides this one finally. And they're somehow 7-4. But hey, good for them. And then for the Bengals, obviously you don't want to lose and things of that nature. Gridiron says if Higgins leaves the free agency, do you think the Bengals, as we know them, will be over? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, obviously, you still got Boyd, you still got Mixon. As long as Joe Burrow's there, I'm going to have faith in them, especially if he's still got that Jamar Chase connection. And I was kind of getting to that in a way because, maybe you do lose a T. Higgins in free agency, but, I don't know how many more games they're going to win now with Burrow being out. Obviously, he's a big part of that team. You're probably going to get a higher draft pick than you would actually expect. Maybe you pair that somehow with another player, or maybe you can, I don't know, in a way do like little, I don't know, signing trades don't really happen in the NFL. It's more of an NBA thing. But try and trade up or package your pick with another player or multiple picks and move up in the draft. I'm not saying they'll get Harrison, but I'm sure besides him, I don't really know the wide receivers, if I'm being honest with you, CJ, my disdain for college football. So
This is one of the best in a while. But
yeah. Listen, I watched the Ohio State Michigan game. I watched that. I feel like you have to watch that even if you don't really like college football.
Okay.
I watched the Iron Bowl. Had to.
Okay.
That's another game you got to watch.
That's a good start. Those are two great games.
Yeah, so two good games there. I won't lie. I'll admit when I'm wrong. It's just the fact that it's one in every 845. But yeah, no, I wouldn't say that the Bengals, as you know, is over because I think they're going to have a nicer draft pick this year than we would have originally expected because of Joe Burrow going down. And with that being said, maybe not reload because, you don't never know if that person you're drafting is going to be T. Higgins, but, probably get a nice player in whatever spot they're drafting at, which I would imagine is going to be, high teens.
Yeah, I don't think, their window is definitely not closed. I mean, as long as you got 9 back there and healthy, upright, that's the key thing. I mean, we didn't get to talk about this last week, but yeah, prayers up obviously to Joe Burrow being out for the season. It's difficult losing your guy. I think they'll find a guy. They will lose T. Higgins to free agency, but as we've seen, teams have been able to find high quality wide receivers in any round of the draft. Look at Puka Nacua over there for the Rams. Look at AJ Brown. Look at DK Metcalf. Those were second round picks. Those weren't first round picks. So I don't think that's going to hurt them any much. I think that the key thing for them is making sure that Joe Burrow is healthy and 100%. Now, he kind of came into the season banged up with the calf, and then ultimately we saw what happened with the wrist injury that shelved him for the rest of the season. So that's the key thing more than anything. But this game, not too much to talk about really. I think the main story was obviously like Connie said was Steelers getting rid of Matt Canada. He was the scapegoat. Anytime they lost, even when they won, even if they didn't win to the standard that the Steeler fans and Steeler organization expected to, he was that guy. Now you can't use him as an excuse. So if they have a terrible offensive outing going forward, who are you going to look at? Mike, I guess you have to look at Mike Tomlin now at that point. Listen, he didn't do a great job as the offensive coordinator since he got that position in 2021. The offense was terrible. I know Connie just read off the stat when he talked about the game at the top of the segment, but it was definitely time. And you could see the offense looked much different than what we saw in weeks past. And I think that those players played much more inspired. You saw Kenny Pickett play much better. And it's going to be important because they're 7-4. They're in an interesting spot. They're right there in the wild card spot, and they're going to need some type of firepower in the playoffs, and for the rest of the season too. They're going to need some offensive firepower to be able to withstand some of the elite quarterback play that we're seeing right now in the conference. So the defense is incredible. they're incredible. TJ Watt, one of the best players in the world. We say this all the time on the show. What they've been able to do with the lack of offensive production has been incredible. But now with this is the final time. This is the final. These next 6 games are very key. This is the seeding. This is the seeding part of the season. So you have to understand all these games are very important and very vital to what they want to do. And Kenny Pickett has to play well. He has to play some great football. You can't, just like how we talked about with the Jets, you don't want to have this defense out there all the time. They're human. They're going to get tired. And as the season goes on, and then the more times they're on the field, there are going to be more opportunities for them to crack. So you have to be able to keep the offense has to be able to stay on the field, keep drives moving. So this was a good start. I mean, they've only put up 16 points because I think the Bengals defense is, they're not terrible either. They got some guys on that side of the football that can make plays. But going forward, that to me, the magic number always is like if you could get to 20 with this team, I think 20 is probably the magic number. But if you have one of those like elite guys, then 24 and up, it should you should be good with that. But they got to keep getting better.
Well, speaking of better, it was the only good game of the 1 o'clock slate that I would say. I mean, I know the next game, Colts and the Bucs was 27-20, but a real good game, I would say, was the Jaguars and the Texans. And the Jags obviously came away with a 24-21 victory here. But it's, to me, it's more of growth from the Texans. I would be surprised if anybody really had them being this good and ahead of schedule this season. I definitely did not see it coming. Granted, I didn't see much of Stroud coming out of college because we just went over it. I'm not a big college guy. But obviously he is playing very well. And then, you just looked at the roster around it and it was like, okay, this team, is going to be, steps away. Like most teams are when they get a, number 1 overall pick with a new quarterback and it's a rookie head coach as well. And they just absolutely keep battling. Obviously they, came up short in this one. Trevor Lawrence played well, 364 yards, had the touchdown, threw an interception as well. But why does NFL.com do this to me sometimes? I know. Oh, no, never mind. I lied. Calvin Ridley is there. I just didn't see him. Ridley had, 5 catches, 89 yards, the touchdown, also caught a 2-point conversion that they had gone for. Kirk, 4 for 89. And, the important thing for me on the Jag side of the ball is, I complained about it a couple of weeks ago, when we were talking about everything. I was surprised that Ridley wasn't involved more. I was happy for them last year when they traded for him at the trade deadline. Obviously, he had to sit out last year because of the gambling thing. But, coming into this year, I was like, wow. You add him to Kirk, who had a nice year last year. This is a team that went to the playoffs last year. Josh Allen, I believe, on the Jags side on the defensive side, just set the record this past week for sacks for that franchise, I believe it is. So, the team is good. And I thought, get Ridley more involved and you really have something. ETN's been playing well. He went on that little, I think it was 3 or 4 game stretch where he was scoring 2 touchdowns a game. But, they come away with a 24-21 victory here. And it's still, to me, it's almost like a Texans thing because they're just way ahead of schedule and how impressive CJ Stroud is as well. And we mentioned it earlier. I can't remember when we were talking about it, but the Stroud to Tank Dell connection going to be here for a while, obviously. CJ Stroud had 304 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. What I liked in this game too, he had 6 carries, 47 yards and a touchdown. So he was using his legs, moving around. You see it often as well. He moves around the pocket a lot. He gives himself a lot of time, I would say, because I wouldn't exactly say the offensive line is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So a lot of the time he's moving out of the pocket, point people in a direction where they're moving. And I think that's where a lot of his big plays are coming from. But you got to do what you got to do, and it's obviously worked out for them so far. Nico Collins, the first couple of years of his career wasn't anything, special to say the least. Now he's having a good year with the 7 catches, had 104 yards, touchdown in this game. So he's obviously, doing his thing now. I was a big Dameon Pierce guy last year, but in a way, I think you got to give Devin Singletary like the majority of the carries here. I know that Pierce was supposed to be the guy, but the 2 weeks he was out, Singletary had a touchdown in each week, had over 100 yards each week. He's pretty decent when it comes to catching the football out of the backfield as well. So, and then Pierce comes back this week. They both have like 6 carries, get absolutely no yardage. So, listen, if Pierce is supposed to be the guy, I understand. But if it's not working out, and you had success in one way. Listen, sometimes life isn't fair, and I would just give it to Singletary on the way. But hey, who am I? But a good one for the Jags. I think it's either them or maybe it was. I think the Jags were the number 1 seed until the Ravens played. And now the Ravens are the number 1 seed again. In the AFC, I can't exactly.
I think it was the Ravens and the Chiefs, and then
I saw the Jags up there at one point.
I think there might have been 2.
But listen, anyway, they're 8-3 on the season. They're basically, what I think the Ravens are as well, and I think the Chiefs are as well.
Yeah.
So obviously they're having a very good season there, but just a very good game. It came down right to the end. Amendola tried to kick that, I believe it was like a 58-yard field goal, hits the bottom of the field goal post and bounces out. Which, by the way, how are you an NFL kicker and his career long is 49 yards?
No, that's why he got cut.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And he's not, actually supposed to be the kicker on the team. It's supposed to be, what is it, Kaimi Fairbath or something like that. So maybe if he's, kicking for the Texans, they win that game because I believe he missed a 50-yarder. Yeah, he missed a 50-yarder earlier in the game and then missed that one to try and tie the game at the end. So, hey, could have came out differently. Also, that stupid, like 80-yard, that like 60-yard pass they had to Tank Dell that got called back for the illegal motion. I didn't see no illegal motion. I'm just saying. And then the other one, I still think Tank Dell caught that ball on the sideline that they said was an incomplete pass.
Yeah, I thought he tapped the left foot. Just barely.
Maybe a couple calls go a different way. We're talking about a Texans victory here, but hey, at the end of the day, good game. And I think that these are going to be the 2 teams that are going to be battling because I'm not seeing. Hell, Colts are 6-5 too, and when they get Anthony Richardson back next year, this all of a sudden, that's how fast things can happen. You have a terrible division. You draft a couple of the right people. Now Stroud and Richardson and Trevor Lawrence could be a hell of a division for many, many years to come. It's crazy. Let's see. I'd really like to see a statement win from the Jags, but yeah, W is a W. I mean, maybe not a statement win over the Texans, but in a way it kind of is. I mean, the Texans have been hot, and you got to remember earlier in the year, Texans went into Jacksonville and absolutely murdered them. I think it was like 37-13 or something like that. So, hey, they got their leg back.
Yeah, all eyes were on this game. This was obviously the game of the 1 p.m. slate for sure, just because of how well Stroud has been playing, and Trevor Lawrence has been playing some great football as well outside of that San Francisco game.
Yeah.
This went down to the wire. Texans definitely had their opportunities, even with everything that you talked about where things could have possibly went their way and they were unsuccessful. They still had multiple times to go down there, score, get touchdowns, but it's going to be close. It's a divisional game. Things like that are going to happen. I think they started off too slow, and they tried to, obviously they came back and made it interesting late, and could have took it into OT. We know what happened there, like you talked about. I'm just excited just for both of these franchises, really. You look at the Jaguars; they got their guy. Trevor Lawrence is a talented quarterback for the foreseeable future. They got their guy, and the Texans also have their guy. It's very rare that you can go from someone as talented as someone like Deshaun Watson. Everything happened there. He gets traded, and then you get a top pick, and you find that guy right away. very rare scenario, and they've been fortunate in that. They know they have a guy, so from here on out, it's just spend around him to do the exact formula that we've seen all these teams do with young quarterbacks. They're going to do the same exact thing in Houston. So it's exciting to see where they're going, what they're going to do going forward. And the same thing for Jacksonville. I mean, they spend a lot of money on Ridley, Kirk, Ingram, all those guys, the guys on the defensive end as well. Josh Allen got a bag. So, I mean, this was an exciting game. Like, this was an exciting game. It went back and forth. You know, CJ Stroud and Tank Dell. I mean, that connection, you know, for them to already have the chemistry that they have in just one season, it kind of reminds me a little bit of what we saw with Burrow and Chase in college, and just how just easily they were able to transition and they just developed that type of chemistry. Wow, I'm just excited. I'm just excited to, you know, what's to come. And you talked about Anthony Richardson for the Colts, and then you got to listen. Will Levis, you know, is trying to figure it out down there in Tennessee. So you got a division with 3 rookie quarterbacks. Now next year it'll be 3 second-year quarterbacks in that division. And I think Trevor Lawrence. I don't even think Trevor Lawrence is. I think he's like under 24. So I mean, it's like,
how things change.
Yeah, that, you know, that division could be an exciting one moving forward. If Will Levis can continue to develop, and these, because they're not going anywhere, right? But if you continue to get these games in and develop as a quarterback, and they believe in him,
surround him with some talent.
Yes, Anthony Richardson got to stay healthy. Has to stay healthy. That's what it is.
Trevor Lawrence told him to slide week 1 of the season.
Week 1 of the season. Listen. Look at Cam. Look at, you know, a couple of your predecessors on that team. Andrew Luck. Just because you're big and
Lamar's been hurt.
Yeah, just because you're 6'5", 240, you're not invincible. All it takes is one hit. So, but yeah, the future of that division is wow. I'm excited to see what happens going forward there.
All right, we go on to the Buccaneers and those Colts. Obviously, Anthony Richardson will be back next year. Speedy recovery, my brother. They got a 27-20 victory. Gardner Minshew's come in and done what he had to do. You know, if there's a backup quarterback out there that you know, I'd want, he'd be one of them. I'll tell you that much. He steps in and kind of performs. He's the typical backup, though. You know, when you think everything, he's going to be a starter, he comes out and has a bad game. But
right,
you know,
it's like it always happens. Yeah. Anytime the media, they try to they're like, can he be a guy? And then that Sunday,
that Sunday he immediately comes out.
Crazy.
17 interceptions. You know, fumbled the ball 3 times, but yeah, he stepped in for Anthony Richardson. He's played well. You know, they beat the Patriots the week prior in Germany. Not that that's saying much. Had their bye, obviously, to come out and beat the Bucs, which is still a good defense. You know, obviously, you know, they're going to take a step back with Baker, you know, losing Brady. No surprises there to anybody, I don't think. But, you know, this is another game. I'm not going to lie, did not see too much of it, if any of it at all. But, hey, the season ended right now. The Colts are in the playoffs. And after Richardson got hurt, you probably did not expect that. But Minshew, you know, 251, didn't throw a touchdown, but threw an interception. So obviously you would just kind of want him to get rid of the turnovers. Jonathan Taylor had a big game. He had 15 carries, the 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. The news with him, though, it looks like he's hurt. I don't know. I think something with his wrist or hand or something of that nature.
Yeah,
I think he's out. Yeah, out for like the next 2 or 3 weeks. So Zach Moss is going to step in. Obviously, we saw what Zach Moss did earlier in the season, though, when Jonathan Taylor was injured. So maybe not too big of a drop off there in that one. Michael Pittman has had a sneaky great year, I would like to say as well. Got to put some respect on his name. 10 catches, 107 yards in this game. So he's kind of been balling out for him. So that's kind of the big players on their side. You know, Baker had a Baker game, 20 of 30, 199, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Like, if you told me Baker did that every week of the season, I'd be like, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. You know, White, who was kind of iffy going into the game, ended up having 15 carries and 100 yards. Mike Evans is still Mike Evans. 6 catches, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Godwin 3 for 45. Godwin, I thought was going to, be a little bit more this year, but hey, there's going to be a drop off. We're not really shocked there if we're going to say anything at all either. But nice win for the Colts in the playoffs at the moment, and the Bucks. It's not like you're out of it anyway. You're in the worst division of football, so get back on that horse and get out there.
Yeah, all they need is a couple wins, and they're right there. I mean, they're in the mix now at 4-7. So, that's disgusting. Like I said, like we've said the whole show, that just speaks to that division. And yeah, good win for the Colts, man. I mean, that in the hunt wild card picture in the AFC is really interesting, man. It really is. I mean, you got the Texans, the Colts, the Bills, the Broncos. I mean, it's going to get dicey. It depends on how you feel about the Raiders as well. They're in there a little bit too. I'm out on the Chargers. I don't think they're going to do anything, but they can play.
Brandon Staley, unless there's an absolute turnaround, they said is gone after the year.
Yeah,
thank you to the man above.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, he's not it. It was good. It's a bittersweet moment for Colts fans. You see, Jonathan Taylor had his best game since coming back, and then what happens? He gets hurt. So, listen, he got the bag, he got his money, and now everything. He got that guaranteed dollars. So listen, he gets hurt, he's still getting them checks. Hopefully, he could get back, get healthy, because they're going to need him if they want to make the playoffs. Gardner Minshew or not, it's just Gardner Minshew. This is it. He's going to be the guy for them for the rest of the season. But more importantly, they're going to need Jonathan Taylor to, run that rock. But they still have Zach Moss as well. Like you said, Pittman has been playing well. So a very important win for Indianapolis.
Listen, CJ, I know that we're Patriot fans.
Yo.
I think it's a disservice if we spend more than 35 seconds on this game or the next one. Because the Titans at the Panthers too. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, obviously the Panthers fire their head coach. That's the big story there. But I mean, Giants beat the Pats in a 10-7 game. I mean, you want to talk about just putrid?
It was one of the worst games I've ever seen. And honestly, that's what I've been saying every Patriots game. Just one of the worst games I've ever seen. They suck. And there's nothing to be excited about with the squad. Literally nothing. There's not.
How's that draft pick?
Yeah, that's it. And I'm just scared that somehow, some way, we'll mess that up by winning a game we're supposed to lose. I can just see it now.
I'm telling you, we're going to beat the Jets again, and we're going to get 3 wins and end up having the 4th pick instead of the 2nd. And I'm going to absolutely be disgusted.
Yeah, I'm looking at Carolina and I'm looking at Carolina, Arizona, and Chicago. I'm watching those games just to see what I end up obviously watching us. Because
come on, Carolina, at least win a couple more, brother. Please.
They got that number 1 pick down. It's over. They're chopped. But yeah, I mean, they missed this guy Ryland, rookie, missed the game tying field goal to take it.
Get that guy out off my team too.
Yeah, he's just not it. He's not it. I know he's a rookie, but he hasn't been playing well. But then again, no one's been playing well on that team.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, there's nothing to talk about.
Thank God we didn't do that to ourselves. Listen, Panthers at the Titans. I don't think there's anything to talk about either besides the fact that Frank Reich got fired.
Right.
1-10 on the season. He got fired. I believe the interim head coach then came in and fired the quarterback coach from McCown and the offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken. I know somebody else got fired. I just don't know exactly who it was.
Caldwell got fired too?
Yeah, no. Staley. It was Staley. He was the running backs coach. Drew Staley got fired.
Okay, wow.
He's the one that got fired now that I think about it.
Everybody got packed up. Sheesh.
Well, I mean, listen, too, you hear the things coming out of Carolina, too, Monday meetings with Tepper. What are we talking about? Especially on a 1-10 season. How fun were those meetings ever for Frank Reich? I mean, you might be doing that man a favor firing him.
No, he did. 100%.
He's going to sit there for the next 3 years. I think somebody did the math. It was like $25,000 a day. Yeah, I'm not mad. I'm certainly not upset about it. But yeah, listen, they're awful. They traded away. They have no first round pick next year because they got Bryce Young. His best wide receiver is a 95-year-old Adam Thielen. He could use a number one wide receiver, and they traded away DJ Moore to get Bryce instead. So now he has nobody to throw the ball to. So some would say it was counterproductive in a way. And then obviously, they trade up for the number one pick. And of course, the number two pick is the one that's playing very well. Now, with all of that being said, I'm sure it would be a different CJ Stroud if he was playing on the Panthers simply because they're awful.
No doubt.
So, obviously situation does matter, and people always overlook that. Like, listen, I love Derek Jeter, right? That's my guy in the Yankees. You think he's the same Derek Jeter we all know and love if he gets drafted by the Kansas City Royals instead of the Yankees? You think Tom Brady is Tom Brady if he's, a Jacksonville Jaguar of those days?
All facts.
Like, situation will always matter. We always overlook that because it's like, oh, well, this player was supposed to be so good coming out of college. What happened? Well, yeah, he's throwing it to, Kmart Register 1, and, you can't really do much with that. So nothing too much on the game here. That was just, the only news that really came out is that after Frank Reich got fired. And honestly, who the hell really wants? Listen, Ben Johnson's like the favorite to land this job. Ben Johnson, please, for the love of God, you are going to have so many options. If you go to the Panthers, I am begging you to you're losing your mind. If anything, the Bears fire Eberflus. How you doing? Oh, I heard you guys got the number one overall pick. And you got like maybe the fourth or fifth overall pick. Oh, and you have DJ Moore? Yeah, I'll pick up that phone call. Because guess what? You got Caleb Williams or whatever quarterback you want at one. Maybe you trade Fields. Probably get, what would you say? Maybe a late second? Somewhere in?
Yeah, second, third.
I think that the first is obviously out of the question, which is what everybody would want in a perfect world, but things happen. But you'll be able to draft a good player at 5. I don't know who they'd be looking at. Obviously everybody thinks unless they pull a Texans, and Texans had like the first and third pick because they traded back up. So maybe you take Caleb Williams 2, you call up the Cardinals, say, hey, I know you guys want him, probably, but you mind if we get the second pick? You can have the fifth, maybe a second this year as well, and something else maybe. I don't know. Here, take that, and then you get both of them, and you pair Marvin Harrison with DJ Moore, and you have Caleb Williams. Now you're on to something. But Ben Johnson, do yourself a favor. Please don't pick up the Panthers phone call.
Yeah, somebody's gonna take the job because again, it's one of 32. Is it the best one of 32? No, but there's a lot of coaches with a lot of pride, and they feel like they could be the guy that could change it all. And if you do become yeah, exactly. If you do become that guy, you'll be up in legend status. Who can help Bryce Young not be called a bust? That's the question. I'm not gonna call him that because again, the situation like you just talked about with everything has been terrible. Has he played great? No, because we've seen really talented players play well in bad situations to give us some type of hope down the road. Like, oh, listen, the team is not good, but he's still having a good game. It's been none of that. It's just everything's bad for them. They got the win against the Bears, right? That's their only win. Come on.
No, the Panthers beat the Texans.
That's right. That is their win. Yeah, that was early in the season.
I only remember that because I was talking to Josh Monday. He was like, listen, my only saving grace about the Bryce over CJ thing is 1-0, baby.
Yeah, Bryce, yeah. Yeah, that's right. You're right about that. Yeah. So Frank Wright, I mean, getting fired is not the worst thing in his situation. He gets all his money. It's not like these NFL players where they'll fire you and you may not get all your guaranteed dollars. He gets all his guaranteed dollars. He gets to chill. Gets to chill for the rest of the year. Can probably get an offensive coordinating job because he knows a head coach or knows somebody in the front office next year at a certain place, or he could go do TV because he was a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. So he's not missing out on checks. Yeah, he won't be missing out on checks anytime soon. So he'll be fine. Like, I don't feel bad for him. Like, this is gonna be good. Like, he's gonna be good regardless. He'll find.
I don't think he's missing a meal.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, that's just the thing, man. It's just who can revitalize and develop Bryce Young into a. Let's just go with starter. Like, let's not even get to like, Pro Bowl. Let's just get let's make him look like an actual starting quarterback. Who can make him get to that point? And I think from there, then everything else will follow. Ben Johnson, of course, the Bears are the number one team that a head coach, any aspiring head coach would want to go to. Bears and then the Chargers, obviously, because they're already made with Herbert. So we'll just see what happens.
Another terrible game here. Rams 37-14 over the Cardinals. Kind of what you expect, not because the Cardinals are bad and the Rams are good in a way. It's just because this is what the Rams do to Kyler Murray. Like, I'm not sure if he's beaten them yet, but my recent memory is just the Rams absolutely demolishing Kyler Murray. Like, obviously, we all remember that playoff game, the season prior to him having the injury, but that's kind of just my remembrance of Kyler versus the Rams. So
he struggles against the Rams.
Yeah, they did it again. 37-14. Nothing, Kyron Williams too. He came back and just absolutely looked like the best player in football, by the way. Like, he destroyed my fantasy hopes. I was projected to win by like 30 at the start of the 4:00 games, ended up losing by 30. Not exactly happy about that one, so I might have a grudge against him. But he had 16 carries, 143 yards, and then 6 catches for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he came back with a vengeance, to say the least. And, Tutu Atwell ends up being their leading receiver. You bet money on that one when you have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp on the Rams as well. God bless you. We'll go win a lottery ticket as well. But it's kind of just, like I said, what you expect. Stafford didn't even go, like, he went crazy, sort of, but like only 229 yards, like not a lot, but had 4 touchdowns. And the interception. Kyler, 256, a touchdown. Didn't run the ball a lot, only had the 1 carry for 2 yards that ended up being a touchdown, but did not run the ball a lot, which obviously I think you're kind of used to him doing. James Conner was held in check. Hollywood Brown, 6 catches, 88 yards. Trey McBride, hey, breaking out here, 7 catches, 60 yards. He's been hot recently as well, but nothing too special besides the Kyron Williams performance in this one. And hey, if they found him, now you got Puka, you got Cooper. You got to make sure that Stafford stays, within himself and doesn't throw. What does he have? I think, does he have the most pick sixes like of a quarterback active, or like maybe in NFL history? I don't know, but
yeah, definitely active. Yeah.
He throws a lot of them. Like, people throw interceptions, but I feel like his are always pick sixes. So, hey, Rams, building back up. They said screw them picks for a while, but now they're kind of building it back up. And Cardinals, hey, you're either going to – they're drafting Marvin Harrison. They're not going to get another quarterback. I thought if they had the number 1 pick, maybe – maybe you want to restart the clock and you trade Kyler away. Maybe you would probably be able to get a first for Kyler, I would assume. I would think.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would.
So, maybe with that, if they had the first pick and then you trade Kyler and get like another high draft pick, you try and reset the franchise. But I don't know. I don't think they'll do that.
I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, that is true. They did draft Josh. What was it? Was it Josh Rosen? And then literally the next year was Kyler.
Yep, exactly. So I would not put it past this organization. They have known to do that. But Kyler is coming off the injury. It'd be different if he played this whole season and they were 2-10.
Yeah, they were terrible. Yeah,
I mean, he's getting packed. Yeah, he's getting packed up. But since he just came back, I see them getting MHJ for sure. Yeah, again, not much to say about this game, guys. Just the Rams are just kind of just like that. I think they're just going to play spoiler here. I mean, they're 5-6, so technically they're kind of still low key, low key, but they're just going to be one of these spoiler teams that is the reason why a certain team doesn't make the playoffs, because they get a crucial W. That's about it. But
or they mess up their seeding,
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of them being a playoff threat, not happening.
The Browns at the Broncos. Oh, God, there are really bad games this week. I mean, holy Jesus. CJ, are you mad at me if we skip over the Broncos and then the Chiefs game too and go to the Bills and the Eagles? I mean, you got anything crazy to say about the Browns and the Broncos or the Chiefs at the Raiders?
Well, I'll just say, the Broncos, 5-game winning streak.
That is true.
They started the season. Yeah, they started the season. They were terrible. I mean, we got
70 points to the Dolphins. The world is falling.
Exactly. They were terrible. So they're in the mix to getting in the playoffs. Sean Payton has done a hell of a job with this team. The defense is, one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're very opportunistic. They give it. I think they lead. I think they might be up there with Dallas in terms of takeaways.
I know the past in that 5-game win streak, they have like a plus 15 turnover differential. So
yeah, they make it happen. They definitely get the ball back for the offense. Vance Joseph got clowned during that Miami game, and now he's looking like a godsend for this team and for that defense. Russell Wilson, he's in like game manager mode. He's not throwing 350 yards, but they're winning games. And I think Sean Payton, what he's done is kind of bring him back to young Russ when he was in Seattle, and that's when he had the most success. Yeah. Run the ball, don't turn the ball over. If we need you to make one of those, magical type plays, the Cortland Sutton, you could do that, but just don't get out of yourself, and you're going to be fine. So that's the key thing I'll say about this game. Obviously, the Browns season is over after Sean got hurt. They're done. It's unfortunate. That's another team like the Jets, fantastic defense, but just don't have the quarterback to keep up in the conference. And then for the Chiefs and the Raiders, I don't dislike. I like this Raider roster. They just need a quarterback. They need a quarterback. Now I don't know what's going to happen with Devontae Adams. I don't know if he's going to be willing to stay and wait for that. I think a guy 31 years old on the back end probably has at least 3-4 prime years left. Would probably want to go to a team with a made guy already. But I would keep Antonio Pierce, and I would keep Josh Jacobs as well, and a couple of some of those other guys, because I know Josh is only on a 1-year deal. So I would keep those guys there and start fresh with Antonio Pierce, but they have to find a quarterback. Aiden O'Connell, nice young guy, but he's not the one. He's not the one. And Chiefs got a great bounce back win after a close Monday Night Football game against Philadelphia at Arrowhead that went right down to the wire. MBS makes that catch. We're having a totally different conversation about both teams. So great win for Kansas City. Travis Kelce got back on track. Rashid Rice could be a player. They have to get him the football somehow, some way, and complement with 87. And, we know what 15 is going to do.
Now, here's our one good game of the 4:00 hour.
Game of the week.
Yeah, game of the week. Bills at the Eagles. Eagles get that 37-34 victory, 10-1 on the season. Just I think the fact that they're one loss to the Jets. The NFL is a very, very strange place. Listen, just a hell of a game. This was, Superman versus Superman almost with Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. But listen, Josh Allen played a hell of a game. Just, one little turn the wrong way, and it all went to hell. But 29-51, 339, 2 touchdowns through the air, through the interception as well. Which was a bad turnover, but I think that's like 8 straight games with an interception for Josh Allen too. So he's been turning the ball over throughout his career, but this year it's been at a different level. So I don't know how he changes it, but if he can change that next season, or hell, too late this year. Not too late. It's getting
Right. There's still a lot of football left.
yeah, like it's getting late, but it's not too late. That would obviously change a lot of things as well. And then obviously the big one in this game was the fact that he was using his legs and very effectively. Had 9 carries, 81 yards. Once again, their leading rusher, 2 touchdowns. On the ground, Gabe Davis had a solid game, 6 for 105 and a touchdown. If he should have had 2 touchdowns, but there was a little miscommunication on that ball in overtime. And, then we're talking about a completely different thing on both ends too, because then obviously the Eagles lose that game. That would have made this week's game against the 49ers even bigger, because then it's really for first place, I believe. But, we'll get there eventually. Diggs, 6 for 74, touchdown. Kincaid has been coming on 5 for 38. But, the game comes right down to the wire. Buffalo, up 17-7 at halftime. Eagles aren't really doing anything. The Bills' defense was just suffocating. The Eagles could not move the ball at all. And then I think they finally realized, what got them there. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is unbelievable, by the way. But running the ball is kind of their thing. They had that. It was eerily similar, I'll say, to the Chiefs game where Swift had that one big run, and then it was kind of like, oh, that woke up the offense, and then they kind of rolled from there. Good on the Eagles defense too, because second half of games they're making adjustments. I mean, they shut out the Chiefs the week prior in the second half. Now they let up 14 points in the second half of this game, but they let up 17 in the first half, so they did a little bit better there. Obviously, the 3 points in overtime as well. But Swift 14 carries at the 80 yards. Smith had a big game. 7 catches, 106 yards in the touchdown. AJ Brown, not a big game, but a big touchdown. I don't even know how to say it. Zacchaeus or whatever the hell that guy's name is. Had that one catch with the touchdown, which was obviously very big.
Point of the game.
Yeah, that's a big moment in the game. And then we get into overtime, and like I said, the Bills kind of go down the field. Little miscommunication on the throw to Gabe Davis, or else it's probably a touchdown. Bills win the game. They have to settle for the field goal. Eagles get the ball, and they go down the field, and they run it in on that QB draw with Hurst that they had tried a couple times, and it hadn't worked out for them very effectively. It looked like it was going to be tough to tie the game. Kelsey makes 2 weird mistakes on the same possession with the false starts, and then it doesn't matter because this man just comes in and absolutely murders a 59-yard field goal.
Jake Elliott,
Jake Elliott just comes in, bam, 59-yard field goal. Yeah, in the rain, a little windy, game on the line. Yeah, casual. So, obviously, when you have a weapon like that, Ravens fans know. Patriot fans for a long time, they knew. Having a good kicker, you don't care about them until you need them.
Exactly.
Damn fun having a good one. Whenever Gostkowski was out there, I mean, that's my generation's kicker. I don't obviously remember Vinatieri, but whenever Gostkowski was out there, I was like, oh yeah, we're good. All the way up until the end. But
up until the later years, but before
we got a little out there, but normally I was good. I mean, obviously Ravens fans know Justin Tucker's automatic, although of course I say that he missed one this week. But yeah, I mean, hell of a game. The Eagles moved to 10-1. I mean, let me tell you something too. This stretch that they're on, the fact that they're still playing the way I'm telling you this, I still don't think they're playing their best football. I really don't.
Sorry, you tweet that, yeah.
I swear to God, I really don't think that they're playing their best. The defense gives up weird plays. The offense at times just looks like they don't know how to play football. And then you look at the score and they're putting up 30 points and they're 10-1 and they're beating teams that they're going to have to play later in the year. You go into Arrowhead, beat the Chiefs. You beat the Cowboys the week prior. You beat the Bills, who, listen, they're having a down year, but as we know, they can score on you. And they've been scoring a lot more since they fired, what was it, Ken Dorsey, right?
Yep.
And then now this week they're playing the 49ers, and the week after they play the Cowboys. They're on a absolute gauntlet right now, and the fact that they're 3-0 on it so far is very impressive to me. And I'm telling you, I still don't think they've played their best. I really do think that there is room for improvement there, which is crazy and maybe not possible, but They're a hell of a team, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, this was a fantastic game. Went right down to the end. You did a great job of breaking down everything that happened. Just for me, for the Bills, they're still Josh Allen dependent. And I mean, again, you say that, oh, well, of course, every team needs a great quarterback. Yes, but for him to lead their team in rushing yards, and you're asking him to go out there and throw for 300 plus yards, 3+ touchdowns. I think this might have been like the first or second time both quarterbacks have rushed for 2 and thrown 2 touchdown passes in a game. So again, that just speaks to how the game is evolving and how valuable having a dual threat guy means to this league. He played well. The interception, I mean, that was just a great play by Bradbury, really. I mean, he came off his original route and a responsibility and just jumped the play on Diggs. Diggs was wide open, but Bradbury just read that because they had made a play. Allen hit Diggs earlier on the other side of the field, earlier in the game, and Bradbury saw, the same thing happen. He just jumped the route. That's just a great play by Bradbury. It wasn't one of those plays where Allen, tries to force it in triple coverage. It wasn't one of those interceptions. So other than that one, played a pretty clean game. I mean, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, try to play man coverage. He was breaking tackles, mixing Hassan Reddick out in the open field and Hassan Reddick that's one of the best.
Dog.
He's a clutch edge rusher. But that defense, they've made plays. The Philadelphia defense, they just made enough plays. And I think the Bills defense, they're missing a lot of their key guys. White, Milano, Von Miller still not back. Like, they're missing some of their key guys that, could have made a play or two in this game if they were out there. But that's just the nature of this game. So you gotta do what you have to do when it comes to that. Philadelphia, I mean, they just found a way to win, man. And when you got this guy, you got Jalen Hurts on the center.
Serious question. You ever seen somebody that calm in your life? Like, listen, I know, like, we saw Brady all those years, and I know he was calm, but he was always, like, very emotional about it. Like, let's go, pump you. Like, Jalen Hurts is stone face. Like, no matter what happens. And I'm like, obviously it's good because they've had success. I've just never seen anything like it. Like, I've never seen him, like, really excited, never seen him, like, really tight. Like, he's just always, like, stone face, like nothing. It's like he's walking through a grocery store.
I think that Super Bowl last year really, like, just took it. He just really had some click because last year he was emotional. Like, he was definitely riled up. He used to make big plays, but I think he probably feels like, man, they could have beat Kansas City in that bowl had he not fumbled that football, and which resulted into a touchdown. I mean, you take away that touchdown, we're having a different discussion. So I think there. For him, I think he's just focused on getting back to where he was last year and going to get it done. And his story, I mean, he's not even supposed to be in this predicament. I mean, I remember when everybody said he couldn't be a passer.
CJ, me and you were ahead of the game.
No, but I'm even talking about Alabama. He was in Alabama.
Okay.
Remember when Tua came in? Tua replaced him in the national championship game, and that's when Tua became a college football legend.
Yep.
They said, and then he stayed and sat behind Tua for a full year, then went to Oklahoma, where you see most guys that go in the transfer portal a year later do things like that. He stayed and backed up Tua and came in some games and helped them win a couple games too. He's just built differently. I mean, he's just built differently. He's a coach's son, so he knows what it takes. You have to sacrifice in order to win. Then he goes to Oklahoma. People knocked him. Oh, it's the Big 12. Everybody could throw in the Big 12. The defenses suck in the Big 12. It's easy to do. Number 4 in the country at Oklahoma. Drafted in the second round. Carson Wentz is the guy. I remember all these shows. They were saying it doesn't matter that they drafted Hurts. Carson Wentz is the guy. I know he didn't win the Super Bowl, but he went 13-3 when he was there. All these narratives, all these people were so high on Carson Wentz. All these people on TV, And then
What idiots! I could never be high end Wentz.
I got to give a lot of credit to Doug Peterson, man. He put him out there, and I think the last 2 games of the season that year, and I think that did a lot for his confidence. And then the following year, they bring in Nick Sirianni. They go 9-7. Struggled again that game against Tampa Bay. Didn't have the best game. They kind of called on late in the game to kind of make it interesting, but the game was still out of reach. And we saw the year he had last year. People was like, they should look at a quarter before last year's season started. They should look at a quarterback. Are you really sold on Hurts? All these questions were still there up until last year. He went off. And now we're seeing him continue to play at a high level again this year. And I got it. To me, the Eagles are the Vikings of last year. Dallas, Chiefs, Patriots, Bills could have beat them but lost the game. Yeah.
It's a hot take, low key.
I see what you're saying in terms of like winning close games, but I trust Jalen Hurts over Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? Like that's really what it comes down to for me. And more, and I trust the Eagles team over a team like the Vikings last year. Like even though the Vikings are winning those close games, you would see Kirk Cousins in primetime games. You're like, oh no, it's not happening. It's not happening. I don't think this is the case here with Philadelphia. It's a similar point in terms of how they're winning. Yeah. I get that, but in terms of the quarterback, it's just on a completely different level. They have a special guy on the center. So, got the walk-off touchdown in OT. If they get home field advantage, it's going to be tough to defeat this team in Philadelphia, man. It's going to be tough. That's why these next 2 games, San Fran, Dallas, I think those 2 games will decide home field advantage right there. If San Fran beats Philadelphia and say Philadelphia loses to Dallas, then San Fran gets home field. We could be having a totally different discussion. Because Dallas obviously won't get home field either way, even if they beat Philadelphia, because they already lost to San Francisco. So this game next week will decide, to me, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Who will be the number 1 seed in the NFC? And we know it was Philadelphia last year. We'll see if they're going to be able to do that this year. But man, this guy, he just steps up to the plate every single game. And I also got to give a lot of credit to Devontae Smith too.
Absolutely.
Everybody talk about AJ Brown. Devontae Smith won the Heisman his last year in college. Like not just like the Biletnikoff, the Heisman. He's like one of the best wide receivers ever. Like he made Mac Jones. Like the reason why we talked about Mac Jones and the reason why we was also high in how well Mac Jones was playing is because Devontae Smith had 23 touchdowns his last year at Alabama. Like, I know AJ Brown is excellent, and he is, but everyone talk about I don't view him as a number 2. I view him as like a 1B.
This is the thing that I wanted to that I couldn't remember, but I found it. Jalen Hurts from the Eagles are winning. 62.5% completion percentage, 1,130 total yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 65.9 rating. When they are tied or trailing, he has a 71% completion percentage, 1,977 total yards, 22 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 114.1 rating. So, listen, obviously when they're leading, you would love for him to play better, but you want to talk about like somebody who's stepping up when they need him to. That is 22 touchdowns, 1 interception, almost 2,000 total yards, and a 71% completion percentage when they're tied or trailing. Like, that is unbelievable. Like, that's that dog in you that's like, okay, I got to take over right now. All right.
And I don't know if you saw the clip with Brandon Graham.
Yeah. At the overtime toss,
like,
it doesn't matter.
Exactly, bro. So, his traits are Brady-esque. Now he got to get the right trophy. You got to get that Lombardi. But man, he's going to be a guy for sure going forward. I can't wait to see the rest of his career.
Absolutely. Sunday Night Football was the Ravens and the Chargers. I mean, listen, this is just most typical thing you'll ever see in your life. Chargers obviously lose this one. We're not surprised. Ravens 20-10 victory here. The defense did its thing. Listen, the Ravens defense unbelievable, leading the league in sacks. Lamar's having a great year. 9-3 on the season. They're the number one seed in the AFC right now. They have to be.
Yeah, they're number
9-3. So they're playing, great football. Obviously, the game was close. It was 13-10, and then they do that little handoff to was it Zay Flowers, right? No, am I bugging?
For the touchdown, Zay Flowers, yeah.
It is Zay Flowers. Okay, good. I thought I was wilding for a second. Well, yeah, Zay Flowers. Listen, help me out because I had the Ravens minus 3.5 in this one, so I was praying that somebody was going to score a touchdown. But hey, he scores the touchdown instead of sliding down. Ends up working out for him anyway. But yeah, you kind of just this is what you kind of expect out of the Chargers. Great team. They just can't find ways to win games. It's kind of been the thing with them all the time. They had opportunities too. It's 13-10. They have the ball. Nothing happens. The defense then isn't able to make a stop, and they end up losing the game. Like that's literally just every Charger game you ever watched. So there's going to be a change of head coach. Listen, Bill might be on his way. A lot of talk about Bill leaving the Pats. If I'm him, I'm going straight to the Chargers. I get to mess around with Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen. Hopefully Mike Williams back because Quentin Johnson is terrible at football.
He's a rookie, man. Chill. Yo, a lot of people forget about Devontae Adams' rookie year. He was dropping the ball a lot, and then he became Devontae. You looking at hindsight 2020, but when Devontae got drafted, he was Mr. Drops, bro. A lot of people forget about that. I know. I just can't get over the fact that he dropped that touchdown pass that Herbert put in a bucket against the Packers. I mean, that's what. Listen, at the end of the day, Justin Herbert is a 10-time Super Bowl winner in hypothetical situations. I'm just saying, and I will stand by that because I feel bad for him. That's not a good narrative, bro. You got to shake.
No, I know it's not. I know it's not.
That's a bad thing. That's not a great.
I still feel bad for the man. The TCU receivers curse continues. I mean, hey.
Yeah, Rager. Yep. Yeah, it's been rough. It's been rough. Ravens, their defense is incredible. They're probably one of the most underrated. They're underrated probably to the national media because they don't have like a TJ Watt or a Myles Garrett, right? Roquan Smith is incredible. I mean, he's one of the best inside linebackers. He doesn't talk a lot, he doesn't say much. But I saw the clip with him and Ray Lewis, like they were kind of like watching film together and stuff. That was a pretty cool moment, cool clip. I watched on YouTube, I think like last week or something like that. But yeah, the Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame, and they got some really good players on that defense. Offensively, I feel like losing Mark Andrews again. We didn't get to talk about this in that same game against the Bengals. Just tough, man. I mean, if he was there, I would pick them to win the AFC. I would have picked them to win the AFC.
Well, I'm confused. They originally said that he was done, and now it's kind of you might see him later on in the season. So I'm still trying to figure out which one it exactly is.
Yeah, it's tricky. I don't know. I mean, obviously because people are expecting the Ravens to have a deep playoff run. There's a possibility he could come back, but if he was healthy, man, I would. I think they play Kansas City soon, so that's going to be an interesting game. I believe so. I believe they play Kansas City soon, so that's going to be an interesting game. It's unfortunate he's not there because he's been just as valuable to Lamar as Kelsey's been to Patrick Mahomes. So, and then they finally got some consistency at receiver He was talking about this whole time. He was like, it was just Mark Andrews, no receivers. Now they got receivers and no Mark Andrews. This guy Lamar can't freaking catch a break, bro. Like, it's crazy. Gus Edwards was playing well. I'm blanking on the young guy I'm blanking on his last name, the speedy guy, not Justice Hill, the other young guy.
I know exactly who you're talking about too.
He's really, I forgot his last name. I don't want to,
What's his first name?
I'm blanking on
the. I gotta look it up, man.
But he's like that home run threat for them, and they kind of have that three-headed monster in there. He's been playing well. Lamar's completion percentage hasn't been like amazing. Odell's made some really good plays here and there.
Justice Hill?
No, not Hill. It's
Keaton Mitchell.
Keenan Mitchell, right? Yeah. He's kind of like he's like their speedy guy, kind of like their.
They have him listed as the starter on the depth chart.
Yeah, they go by committee. But it's a great group. It's a great group that complements Lamar really well. Odell's been making some really solid plays. I think they're going to start to use him more as the season, towards the end of the season, into the playoffs. We know he's a playoff guy. We saw what he did when he was with the Rams. Made some big plays for them during their Super Bowl run. So I like this team. I like their defense. Their defense is incredible. I still feel like, definitely a possibility they could go in there. If they keep home field advantage, and they don't give it back to Kansas City, I would give them an opportunity to come out the AFC. But if they come out if the Chiefs get home field advantage again for like 6 straight years, then it's going to be a close game, but I would probably still favor Kansas City because Kansas City has a great defense as well. So it's not one of those things where it's just like, oh, Kansas City's defense is trash. They have a phenomenal defense. So that's going to be a battle. But yeah, Chargers, everybody's just waiting until the end of the season so they could get Brandon Staley up out of there.
Monday night.
Turnovers in the game. I mean, it was there for the taking. 4 turnovers. Eckler fumbles. Keenan Allen fumbles. Like, it's just bad.
Bears and the Vikings. Now that was bad. Now, CJ, you got the floor, brother.
Listen, Fields had a nice drive at the end there in order for them to go out there and win it. Dobbs, terrible. 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions, man. That was a rough one. That was a rough watch. I didn't really watch a lot of it. I ain't gonna lie. I was watching some pro wrestling too. So I wasn't really
locked into Raw, bro.
I was locked.
I had Raw on the TV. The game was on my phone. I was doing a quick little, every once in a while.
Great minds. I was on the same wavelength, bro. So I wasn't really, because once I saw this game, I was like, come on, guys, what are we doing here? But Dobbs just turning the ball over, man. It was looking rough. And again, as we said throughout the show, it just comes down to what they want to do with Fields, man. That's all I can really say about this game.
Yeah, no, it was awful, and there's no reason to talk about it. CJ, we're doing awards, huh?
Yeah, because we didn't get to do mid-season awards.
Yeah, I got you. All right. How about you went to Monday Night Raw? I'm jealous of you, Gridiron.
Oh, word.
Like you were at this past Raw.
Word, that's what's up, man.
Yo, Gridiron, we got to get you on here, bro. You're just like us.
That's what's up, man.
I'm really thinking about going to Mania, bro. I might pull trigger, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little above my bracket, but hey,
I might just sit in the nosebleeds for just the experience.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be even more special now, but obviously with Punk back, so it's gonna be big. Saturday was big. Survivor Series was special.
They pulled that little copyright thing where they put it in. I was like, damn, the show's really over. Music hit. I said like this.
Yeah. I've been seeing the reactions throughout the week of people. It was wild. That's what
shout out my guy Santi.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of his videos. That's what Triple H used to do during NXT. He used to do the same thing. Like they'll show the copyright and then have a surprise thing. So
they know
it was great. It was great. Yeah, so I was watching that. Sorry, I know this is I know this is an NFL show, guys, but
Hey,
you know,
we got to be able to enjoy ourselves too. Huh? You know what I mean?
I'm versatile with the guy. I'm versatile. I just watch everything, man.
Well, let's hand out some awards, CJ. Let's how about we start? Do you have an order, or do you want me to just start from wherever?
Yeah. Right now, I'll start MVP. Obviously, that's the most
All right,
prestigious.
all right.
Right now, I got Hurts. Just
I
everything we talked about.
Yeah, when me and Josh did midseason awards a couple weeks ago, I was really on the CJ Stroud train. If he kept it going with,
Right.
but I gotta go where it hurts now too. I mean, hey, Dak's right there, Stroud's right there.
Yeah, Lamar, even Mahomes too. I mean, Mahomes always going to be in the discussion. It's
Yeah,
like the Jordan LeBron thing. My offensive player of the year, I got Tyreek Hill.
I mean it's going to be, but I'm gonna throw love to McCaffrey.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It was close. It was neck and neck between CMC and Hill for me. Defensive player of the year, I got to give it to Myles Garrett. I think he finally gets one. Leading the league in sacks. He's missed out like the last 3 years with Donald, T.J. Watt, and I think he wins it.
I'll show love to Garrett, but let me get a little Max Crosby love.
Okay.
This dude plays like 100% of the snaps every game. I think he has the most QB pressures in the league. I believe he's in double-digit sacks as well, and he's literally the only person on that team that can do anything on the defensive side when it comes to rushing the passer. So I'll give Max Crosby a little love.
For coach of the year, if the Texans make the playoffs, I got to give it to D'Amico Ryans. But if they don't, I'm gonna say Nick Sirianni again.
I agree with literally both of those to a T.
Comeback player of the year is tough. I mean, it hasn't really been a guy. I mean, I know Saquon came Odell. It hasn't been that really a comeback stories. So I left that one blank.
I mean, DeMar's gonna win it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's that I can see that happening for sure. Exactly.
That's the only one that I think is kind of locked from the beginning.
Yeah, so should be TJ, comeback player of the year.
Not Gridiron. I'm telling you, we went over this on Gen Z. TJ didn't get hurt last year. It wasn't last year when he had like the sack record. He tied it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the year before Gridiron. That's what you're thinking of. We went over that. I'm telling you.
TJ. Yeah. All right, so yeah, I think that's it, right?
We got rookie.
Rookie of the year. My bad. Well, obviously CJ Stroud, offensive.
Yeah. Defensive.
Defensive.
Probably. I always mix them up on the Eagles. Is it Jalen Carter or is it the other guy? Who's the other person that they have from Georgia that's also huge?
Jordan Davis, but he's a second year.
That's who I always mix them up for some reason. I don't know why, but I think it's going to be Jalen Carter. I mean, he's been an absolute demon.
I'm gonna go with Joey Porter Jr. I believe he's rookie season.
I do believe.
Yeah, I think it's rookie year.
Fair enough. All right. What do we got now? Oh, our top 5 teams, eh?
Yes, sir.
All right, you go ahead, Caesar, because I never actually think of this until you do it.
All right, so number 5, I have Dallas. Again, playing great football right now. I know they took the loss to Philadelphia within the last few weeks, but they're still playing great ball. Number 4, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. Great win against the Raiders, but that tough loss on Monday Night Football to the Philadelphia Eagles kind of put them down for me. Top 3 teams, I think, was a lock to me all across. I mean, regardless of how you rank it, I think everybody has these as the top 3. I got San Francisco at 3, though. Playing great football as well. I know I'm gonna say great football like 5 times, but they're a well-oiled machine. Debo's back. Trent Williams is back. They look dominant. Number 2, I got the Ravens. Phenomenal defense. Lamar's playing at a high level. And, of course, number 1, Philadelphia Eagles.
I mean, yeah, I literally would have the exact same thing, except I'll just put the 49ers at 2, just because I think that they're ridiculous. So Literally the exact same list, except I'll switch the 49ers and Ravens with you. Well, other than that, sounds about right to me. And we'll wrap up the show with our week 13 predictions, which CJ will wonderfully take us through as he always does.
Yes, sir. Thursday night football, we got Seattle versus the Cowboys and Dallas. I'm gonna go with Dallas.
I will go with the Cowboys. Yeah.
I was scared. I was like, okay. All right, yeah. I got Cowboys in that one. Chargers, the Patriots. I got the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Lions versus the Saints. I think this will be a fairly close game, but I'm going to go with Detroit.
I'm going to go with the Lions in this one. I think a big bounce back after they got embarrassed on Thanksgiving.
Falcons versus the Jets, man, it sucks. We gotta, by force have to see that game on TV. But I'm gonna go Falcons.
I will go with the Falcons too. Underrated defense. If they had an offense, they'd be a good team.
100%. Cardinals versus the Steelers. I'm going with Pittsburgh. I think they found some new life getting rid of Canada.
I absolutely agree with that one.
AFC South showdown between the Colts and the Titans. Close. Man,
I gotta
I'm gonna go Tennessee. I'm gonna go Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Look at that. I think Levis makes a few more plays than Minshew at home.
I'll just stick with Colts. I just don't think Titans are they're not doing anything special. I think Zach Moss will be able to step up in the Jonathan Taylor slot.
Dolphins and the Commanders. I think the Dolphins get this one done on the road. I know it's just going to be cold. It's going to be cold over. It's going to be cold. It's like 20-something right now. But I think they run the ball. They make enough plays. I got Miami.
Yeah, I will go with the Dolphins as well.
This game right here could decide who makes the playoffs and get into that wild card spot between the Broncos and the Texans. I'm going to go Broncos. They've just been one of the hottest teams in the league right now. I think they keep it up.
Yeah, I'd love for the Texans to make it, but I'm going to go with the Broncos. The defense has been out of their mind. Russ has been doing well. I think it'll just be a little too much for the Texans.
NFC South matchup between the Panthers and the Buccaneers. I'm going with Tampa Bay.
I'm hoping the Panthers win. We get a little juice from a coach firing, but I think the Bucs take it.
Facts. Browns and the Rams. I'm going with the Rams in this one. PJ Walker, DTR doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, I'll go with the Rams too.
Game of the week. Versus the Eagles.
How is this not a primetime game, by the way? Just need to know that one.
Yeah, it's the 4:00 one, right?
Yeah, but how is it not a 8:20 Sunday night or Monday night, or how is this just a 4:25?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
This screams standalone game.
It's still going to be the highest rated game of the week.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It's on Fox, so it's going to be. I'm gonna go Philadelphia. I think it's going to be a close game. Again, and I just think Hurts makes more plays than Brock Purdy, man.
I'm going to go with the 49ers. The Eagles are in the middle of that absolute gauntlet. I think listen, if they don't drop one of them through this whole run, I will be unbelievably impressed. I just think that they're going to end up dropping one of them, and I think it's going to be this one. They have, a little bit of a lead with, that first overall seed. Maybe they focus up on the Cowboys, make sure they don't squander the division, because the Cowboys schedule down the stretch is very, very light. So I'll take the 49ers in a close one. They want revenge for that NFC Championship game. Kind of what Gridiron says too. Who whined more in the offseason? The Eagles about the Super Bowl field or the 49ers about the NFC Championship game? They both did their fair share.
Yeah, it's pretty even.
I don't know. I think the 49ers were.
Yeah,
listen, I know you got hurt, but just take it. You know what I mean? Even this week, I think somebody asked Debo about what he said about Bradbury. He's like, "Oh yeah, I don't regret anything I say." But I'm like, "Okay, bro."
Yeah, I think the 49ers definitely going to get up for this one. Brock is there now. Obviously, I don't think he's going to get hurt in the first series of the game.
Yeah, no.
Um, it's going to be a great game for sure. Sunday night football, Chiefs and the Packers. Looking to see how Jordan Love plays in this one, man. After a really, really standout game on Thanksgiving last week against Patrick Mahomes and Lambeau. I got the Chiefs though.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Chiefs.
And Monday Night Football sucks. This would have been a great game
Such
if Burrow was there, obviously. But Bengals versus the Jaguars in Jacksonville. We'll go with Jacksonville.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, would have loved to see this game if Burrow's not hurt, but unfortunately he is, and I will have to go with the Jags. Well, listen, everybody, that wraps up our Week 13 picks, wraps up the episode. Listen, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Anthony Conover _ over there on Twitter. Make sure you go follow at the hard count _ on Twitter as well, or X, whatever the hell you want to call it. I refuse to call it X. But always tweeting from there, sharing clips from around the league and everything of that nature. Gridiron appreciates you for tuning in as always. You're the constant. We love it, appreciate it. And CJ, where can they find you? What are you up to, huh?
MNC Hoops on Sundays, 9 p.m. Eastern, talking about all things NBA. You can catch me there talking about the association, breaking down everything that's going on in the league. Obviously, the hard count, and then CJ versus the World, my gaming page. If you want to, check out some 2K, Call of Duty soon, as well. A little bit of Warzone when that comes out. So, yeah.
All righty. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. I guess catch you on the next one. All right.